Hello, everyone. Welcome back to more Dota 2 action here at the International as we get ourselves ready for another series. It's going to be Evil Geniuses versus T1. I'm Gods. Joining me is BSJ. Are you excited for this clash? SEA versus NA, but a bit of SEA on both sides as well.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm actually really looking forward to the two playstyles. We got EG, who's very heavy on the laning stage, an emphasis of like snowballing that early momentum, and T1, who's more about like stalling the game for 23 Savage to eventually carry. They usually pick like a buffing type hero that's going to make their late game the be all end all. So it's going to be, can they make it over the hump? Because EG is known for kind of running people over if they're going to win.
Yeah, and both these teams played a little earlier today. You catch some of those games. There's obviously a lot of games, but
Yeah, EG had a good start, 2-0.
Yep.
T1, on the other hand, did not have a good start, 0-2. Looking at their drafts, pretty much like sticking to the game plan. T1, they had the IO Gyro, so they had like the whole late game plan going. They had the Luna, so they're pretty much the standard hard carries. The difference is, though, we saw EG pick Razor for Arteezy.
Yeah.
So they seem like they were picking Nature's Prophet carry at the major, and now they're picking Razor. One of the few teams that's kind of going with non-traditional carries.
Yep. I feel like the last time I saw him play Raze was at that Singapore major where things did not go too well, but glad, they still have faith in it. They still believe. But yeah, it's interesting because I feel like, we talk about EG and being such a heavy early game team, but Arteezy's more traditionally known for that late game farming.
Yeah, it's weird. Ever since they changed up their roster to what it is now, they've seemed to be more like they've ditched the old Arteezy. I don't. The funny thing is, I feel like the meta is more for Protect One now than it was back when he played that way, and now they
And
don't
they're not
play that
doing
way.
that.
Maybe they're just like
Yeah.
hipsters. We're not gonna stick to what's considered normal.
Yep. Well, here we go. We're going to get ourselves into the draft as we'll see what emerges here. Obviously, there's always a lot of talk about the TI meta. What big heroes? I feel like there's a few that are emerging as top most picked, most banned heroes, but outside of that, maybe it's still a little unclear. Every team bringing different ideas.
Yeah, it's the second round is where it gets a
seconds
little bit
remaining.
unpredictable. But as of now, I'm keeping an eye out for Weaver, Tiny, Monkey
Geniuses
King every
turn
single
to
game,
Yeah.
and I was wondering if Monkey
That's-
King was going to get banned here because there it is.
Those do seem to be the big three every game. I think we can maybe start including Io in that group.
Yeah,
ET, another hero I feel like I've seen, there we go, in like more than half the drafts. So there is, a kind of a clear, okay, these are the best heroes get in the first phase, and then we'll see what comes out second phase.
so the idea that T1's going for, it looks like, is between Snapfire and ET, you have a lot of like toss out magic damage that you don't have to commit really hard to until you see the right opportunity. And I think
Yeah.
against Io, it's really scary to have this all-in commitment. Go like
10
if we
seconds
don't bring him
remaining.
down before the relocate comes off, we've kind of just wasted all of our damage. So I like
5
what their
seconds
concept
remaining.
is against the Io opening.
I think something that was kind of underrated I saw with the Snapfire too was OG when they're playing it into a gyro. Obviously, there's no gyro here, but maybe you're expecting an IO gyro. Is the little shredder just instantly killing the homing missile in lane? Makes that spell useless in lane.
Yeah, I saw that a few times. I guess it could just be a block pick. Could just be as simple as that. And I think EG is that since they base their lineup so much on the lane, like that Razor pick that we saw earlier was just a lane
10
dominating pick.
seconds remaining.
That could be as simple as like we're not going to pick Gyro, even if IO Gyro
5
is the
seconds
ideal
remaining.
pairing.
What do you make of the storm? It's EG's.
It's Hobbit. I mean,
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of EG fans who love to see it, and there's probably a few having some not so nice flashbacks.
it's been 6 years at this point with Bulba, something like that. He still will pick the same stuff, and he's going to make you prove that you can beat it. And T1, I feel like T1 is not a team that adjusts to what other teams are doing. They much more do their own thing and say like this. I feel like both of these teams are the plant your foot in the sand and just say this is how we're going to play the game, and you're either good enough to beat it or you aren't. So that's why I think both teams will be sticking to their comfort zone.
Evil geniuses turn to ban.
I would say, as far as comfort zone, EG's not really traditionally a big IO team though.
True, Crit is.
If you go way back, maybe with
Yeah.
Crit to his previous teams.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll do like a duo offlane scenario, but does Fly ever play it? I
10
don't know if I've
seconds
ever seen a
remaining.
Fly IO before.
I'm sure I got to imagine he's got a few games clocked on it, especially since
Turn to ban.
at least previous patches I was more a 5 than a 4. But
I wouldn't be surprised if they just run like a setup 5 that could be laned
Okay.
in the 4, like a Bane or a Disruptor
Yep.
to go with it. But they do have decent setup already for the relocate with the Storm. It's just wonder if like how long are they willing
10
to wait
seconds
for the carry
remaining.
matchup?
Yeah. That's one thing I would say, we're seeing a ton
5
of this
seconds
flexibility with
remaining.
heroes. Like, we're going to pick this hero that, like, this Monkey Weaver, Pengu, we've seen this potential core and then play it as a support. I feel like Fly maybe as a 5 is not quite, doesn't have that super flexible hero pool. Like, I don't see him as the guy who's going to play a 5 position Gyro or Pengu.
I think he might be like the
Evil
best,
geniuses
least
turn
flexible
to
player in
ban.
the world.
Yeah,
You know,
I like that. Yeah, yeah.
Like out of all the players at his level, he has like virtually no flexibility in his hero
Yeah.
pool. I do think they're setting up for a Sven though on the side of EG. It's
Okay.
good because the bonus armor against ET's spirit or aura that removes the armor, and then it's a pairing for
10
IO, and then they
seconds
banned out the
remaining.
Medusa, who's traditionally a pretty bad matchup for him.
Yeah.
5
And you like
seconds
Sven against
remaining.
what the two heroes you're seeing so far?
Yeah,
from
it's just
T1,
plus armor against
Yeah.
effectively putting you to 0 and then little shuddering you on top of it. So I think that's... It might suffer in lane, though, because they did reduce Sven's base armor, and they've
Okay.
been consistently nerfing his laning stage with the damage on Stormhammer and the base attack time as well.
When it comes to ET, we've seen core ET early today, but I think a bit more the support. Are you?
Yeah, it was actually EG that picked the core ET.
Yeah, Ice.
Ice was slapping with that. He had the Echo Saber Ags with the magic immunity.
Yep.
I don't necessarily like it against heroes like Storm because the whole idea is that you get the spirit off and then it comes back to you and then you have the magic immunity. But Storm kind of prevents you from casting your spells in the first place whenever he jumps you. So
Yep.
I think it's probably just going to be a 5. That sets up for a strong laning carry like a Luna.
We'll see what that Arteezy hero's gonna be, as well as what T1 have in mind for their carry pick.
Turn to ban.
Morphling game
Oh,
bat.
Morphling would have been
yeah.
good too.
Morphling Medusa. Maybe still indicating, EG can of course still pick that gyrocopter. I don't think
That is true.
Mentioned that Snapfire little shredder mechanic, but I don't think that means gyro is something unpickable. It's just a slight little nuisance come the laning stage.
Okay, so they banned so much setup. Look at all those.
Yeah.
They are not
Fly
letting
heroes.
That is a lot of I think those are the 3 heaviest stunning supports in the entire game.
Yeah. At least from the 5 roll, maybe. Maybe there's like a Nyx or something in there as well.
10
But,
seconds.
yeah, that's
remaining.
something EG is at least lacking and going to need either from their other support or from perhaps
5
Ice's
seconds
hero.
remaining.
Wouldn't be too surprised by like a Tide Hunter for T1. They have been picking. So far they've picked Cuckoo's hero last. They picked Night Stalker last in both of their games.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of Night Stalker against IO. I feel like they need a hero that either pushes lanes and sets up the rotation that way, or actually stuns the IO. Which in this case they're going for the Puck. This is a matchup, the Storm Puck matchup specifically, has really gone back and forth. I feel like Puck was the breadwinner 2 or 3 patches ago, and now I think it's kind of
10
flipped
seconds
because
remaining.
Puck's been nerfed and Storm's been buffed. But it gives you an automatic, like, we're going to cast
5
this
seconds remaining.
spell on you and then follow it up with our volley. Because right now it's like ET snap. You're not going to be able to land your spells on a Storm. But with the coil, they absolutely can.
Well, there's a Tide Hunter picked, and it's on the other side. It's going to be an
Yes.
Ice Tide, most likely. I think maybe Fly's played it once or twice at various points, but we'll see where that ends up. Gives them some more control, but it's that one
10
big
seconds
team fight
remaining.
control. It's not like a reliable, okay, we're going to go for a gank and have that stun to start
5
things off. It's
seconds remaining.
we're going to win those big fights.
It's a combo breaker, I think, because right now T1 has a combo. All of their heroes individually, like Puck's not going to dish out the damage, and ET and Snap are not going to be able to hit a target that's not locked down. So
Yeah.
if Tide's going to be the guy in front, he's the dangler. I get to use that word right away. He's the sponge. More accurately, he's just a sponge. His whole idea is like, I dare you guys to go on me specifically.
Yep.
If you don't go on me, I'm going to push the Ravage button, and it's going to disjoint your combo. Oh, there's... Okay, so
Now there's-
ultra combo breaker.
And really, yeah, I mean, T1, you mentioned their playstyle is kind of sit back, play for late game, but they also like having that big team fight typically, which is going to be, okay, let's get the 4 protect 1. Those 4 are going to be the big kind of synergy, whereas the 1
10
is
seconds
23 Savages.
remaining.
This is the hero that takes us late game. And
Right.
yeah,
5
Silence is back in the
seconds
meta. That's a
remaining.
hero that I feel like disappeared for a long, long time.
I think we might see like the first Slark. I don't think I've seen a Slark so far. But right
Ooh.
now, I think Slark's looking really nice for T1. It's just the issue of damage in the mid game if they go for something
Yeah.
like that. They might just have to pick a heavy hitter like the Luna. but then you're like the problem is most carries don't like having Tide in their face, and they don't have a way to get him out of the carry's face right now.
Evil geniuses turn to bad.
Okay, I'm not a fan of this pick because it lanes very poorly against Tide.
Yeah, that was
Tide
what I
will
was wondering.
absolutely free farm this lane, so it's really like they're doubling down on this combo, and the fact that Spectre eventually builds a Manta is really nice to deal
10
with the silencer
seconds
like breaking
remaining.
her portion
Yep.
of the combo. But like
5
once Storm
seconds
gets
remaining.
BKB, I feel like their combo is unreliable, and they're kind of all in on it. Is what I'm concerned about.
You mentioned when it comes to classic playstyles, though, this is kind of what you're describing. This is T1's playstyle, though, where
Absolutely.
they're looking for the late game. They say, we don't care about the lanes. EG's usually the opposite. They're the ones who love to have these strong starts, these strong lanes, and they're just going for that big late game power of the Spectre. Because, yeah, Spectre against these two supports, he just eats them up.
Evil geniuses turn to ban.
So
EG lacking any way to kind of take objectives right now.
yeah, I think both teams are playing purely for map control. There's virtually 0 tower damage amongst both teams so far.
Yep.
I like the Night Stalker ban because
10
first off,
seconds
Kugu, like we said, has
remaining.
picked it both times for himself, but also because
5
they
seconds
needed a way to
remaining.
ignore Tidehunter. And so Night Stalker's silence being undispellable because it's like an AoE aura. If there's some other Doom might be a decent option, but that might be like causing
to
them even
ban.
more stun issues on the side of T1. But I know SEA and China lean pretty heavily towards Doom more so than the other regions, but it hasn't been very popular.
Interesting. EG ban Razor. Does that indicate something they might be wanting to pick? You mentioned the Sven earlier, or
Could be Gyro.
10
Gyro,
seconds
yep.
They
remaining.
picked it against Gyro. It is a very hard anti-carry. And
5
as of
seconds
now,
remaining.
they don't really have a hero to kill Razor, oddly enough. It would have laned really well against Tide or whatever they're probably going to pick carry. I think Sven stands out to me still. Silver Edge builder against the Spectre. That matchup used to be not so hot, but any hero that naturally builds Spirit or Silver Edge will do pretty well against Spectre.
yeah, T1, as you mentioned, saving that last pick for the offlane. Maybe it's like an SEA thing because Fnatic themselves like to sometimes save Death's hero for very late in the draft, like set him up for success, having that good lane matchup, and we're gonna find out what Arteezy's hero is, and yeah, Cuckoo gets the kind of the counter pick, so to speak.
I'm curious now because the Luna Sven seemed like the
10
prime candidates for the
seconds
IO. Is Gyro like the hand me down here?
T1's turn to pick.
Oh,
It's Troll. Okay. It's almost like T1 wanted them to pick Gyro because they left that in the pool.
Yeah.
They have the IO. Everybody's thinking Gyro, at least on some level, and
The
EG
Razor
do
ban
not go
makes a
for
lot
it.
of sense now because if they were considering Sven or Troll, both of those are very hard countered by Razor.
10 seconds remaining.
And Troll, I imagine he's going to build a Silver Edge. That's worth considering. He also
5
gets bonus
seconds
armor from
remaining.
his first spell, which is important because most Agi carries are all base armor, which gets 100% removed by the ET. He's going to build BKB early. Because Tide lanes really well against Spectre, I think EG's always going to be a team to double down on the lanes. Like, if they know they're already at the advantage, they will lean towards more lane dominators. Troll's one of the best carry laners in the entire game. And now my question is, what can you pick off lane that's going to get out of the laning phase? They go for the
You may
Doom.
now select your heroes.
So this is, it's all going to be, T1 is going to cast their spells, right? It's going to be this 4 or 5 seconds, and is the Silencer Global or Tide Ravage going to disrupt this? If it does, I'm leaning heavily towards EG. If T1 manages to start each fight killing 1 or 2 heroes, I'm leaning towards them because they've got so much, like, just burst the one guy or remove one guy from the fight in their kit.
And it feels like somehow if they get into that kind of mid-game where, they've got this Doom offlane feels kind of greedy, but if Spectre doesn't get crushed in lane, if Doom manages to get some good farm, yeah, if he just starts a fight with a, BKB Doom on a Tide, suddenly that's EG's team fight kind of disappearing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think his target will always be the Tide because if he dooms anyone else, the Tide's going to counter-initiate with the Ravage. Even if he has BKB, the Doom alone's not going to be enough to finish off whoever he's getting. And there might just be too many targets for T1, because like Tide's combo breaking, Silencer's combo breaking, IO could potentially relocate the Doom target. So a T1 has one of the best late game execution of team fights that I've seen. coming into TI, when I watch them win their games, I'm just like, wow, these are team fights I feel like they have no business winning, given the fact that they are usually down with their late game lineups.
Yep.
But so I think if there's a team that could piece it together, it's certainly them. But it's a tough one.
Yeah. And Storm always feels like one of those heroes that you want to execute this perfect team fight, he's going to be zipping in, zipping out, getting the back lines, kind of wreaking havoc. You mentioned, yeah, the IO saves crit. When he played on his former team, OG, he was a huge IO player, made those kind of plays all the time. So we're going to see how things unravel here. It's a big series, EG 2-0, one of the favorites here. A lot of people have them in the top 2, top 3. A lot of people even predicting, hoping this might be the year that Arteezy can win TI. And as for T1, one of the big hopes of the Southeast Asian region, only one of 2 teams here representing SEA, although you have got SEA representation on numerous other teams. They're 0-2, so this is, it's time to turn things around, even though you do play a lot of series.
I haven't seen my voice line a single time, and I guess
both teams.
Both teams now.
There we go.
There you go. I think they know I'm casting this game. I appreciate it, guys. Your PayPal will be submitted later. So let's see. It seems like the offlane builds nowadays are all about sustain, and you see Ice Ice Ice. He originally had the Ring of Health queued up after starting items, but he's actually going the Orb of Venom. So he's thinking they're going to be really aggressive down here. Maybe since he has the IO, he's thinking that his itemization can be less geared towards sustaining himself and more so ruining the Spectre's game. And I think if he's disruptive, Ice Ice Ice, which I can't think of a better player to fit that role in a game, I think then Arteezy will eventually just take over the net worth charts.
Yeah. It's been interesting to see him play on EG, because I feel like, EG, the story has just been this cycle of offlane players, and it feels like usually the offlaner comes in and has to adjust to EG. Ice Ice Ice, I feel like it's the first offlane to come in, and the team adjusted to him. He didn't change his playstyle.
Yeah, we were talking about the way Arteezy used to play as a carry, and it feels like he's much more involved with the team early on. And with T1, I feel like they're the old EG. The way they play. We can expect 23 Savage to be the guy that's given all the space on the map.
Well, very excited to see this mid matchup. Carl versus Abed. 2 very high MMR mechanically skilled players. Abed, the player who left the region to join EG, and we're going to see how he can fare against the Carl Puck. And it is kind of that iconic mid matchup, which you kind of suggest maybe goes a bit more the way of the Storm these days.
Yeah, it's just because mid lanes become more and more farm heavy with the small camp, and how teams how mid laners are saying, like, it's not even worth trying to deny under your tower. I'd rather just stack the small camp and farm it. And Storm fits that narrative a lot better. And also, Puck's just been nerfed a bunch of times.
Well, an early first blood, the Gush, a level 1 kill from a Tide IO. That is a good way to get things kicked off here. And this is the lane that you were worried about as far as how the Spectre does against Tide. It's also the support ET off to a rough start.
Tide's, he's just one of those offlaners who's only weak in lane if the carry scares him. And so heroes like Spectre and PA, who are pretty low damage early on, usually Tide is allowed to kind of just do whatever he wants in lane. And Whitemond's got a lot of space he's got to make in the lane individually. We were talking about, like, as the map begins to get farmed later on, but the Spectre does so little to Tide in lane that he has to carry the weight of basically 2 heroes, while Savage is going to be farmed.
And it doesn't feel good when you're playing against the IO. Like, you harass him down to half health, and he's just tethering with this headdress. Like, they're going to naturally heal back up constantly. So sometimes it feels a bit futile to be just constantly harassing in that lane.
The thing is, if T1 is, like, in a playable game at 15-20 minutes, I think their ability on the map is just terrifying.
Carl, nice fill of phase shift. He's still in a bit of trouble here. 1 or 2 more right clicks, forces a fairy fight. Can he get it with the disjoint? Carl gets away narrowly just as his bottle arrived. Abed very close to getting the kill. Could imagine Carl maybe knew his limits there, but I imagine he was sweating a little bit.
That was very close.
Yeah. Having to do just that tiny little orb jaunt away to dodge the auto attack.
Zephyr actually forced a TP away. That's that never feels good as support, right? Especially if you have to go back to base because you run out of regen. Now you just have no TP. And TP's now 100 gold. You'd only get 1 of them.
Yeah.
They're expensive early game. And he also knows they don't have one anymore, which means the double slow lane from Fly and Arteezy is much scarier for him.
Yep. Well, so far Doom not able to really do a whole lot. Arteezy just free farming away. You can see the CS count there, 18 and 3. Storm having a field day in the mid lane, so this is the EG laning stage that, you know, we've constantly seen. They're just a team that loves to bully their opponents when it comes to the laning stage.
It's a matter of how greedy is EG gonna go once they get the expected lead, because they have so much like pick off every time they just cast their ultimates. I think it's what's gonna be important is that T1's gonna have to get their own farm, but then just use their cooldowns to kill somebody who's in your face so that you can farm more. You know, use the Doom just to make a little bit of space. Use the Spectre Hunt. Use the Coil. Use the Snapfire ulti.
I mean, as a carry player yourself, you see this Spectre obviously playing against this IO Tide. Is there a point where you just have to leave this lane, or can he kind of stick it out and get a bit more here?
He just has to build to sustain. Look at his items, right? He's not even going boots yet. He's just going stat items with a wand. And the idea is the lane's often going to get pushed into your tower. ET is going to make sure he prevents the big camp pull. And as we see, the lack of TP costing Zephyr there.
Just, like you say, the double slows, and they just right-click him down. That was a pretty straightforward, easy one, and they're even getting some additional harass onto Cuckoo.
He feels pretty good, though, because he's out-leveling the troll, and the lane's now underneath his tower, so it's not like the support death is actually costing the core anything. That's when it's, like, disastrous.
Yeah.
But I think 23 Savage should be fine to just kind of chill underneath his tower. Yeah, Ice 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 will control the lane, but you're seeing it now. He's actually pretty even with him, 17-5 to the 16-4. So he's chilling. It's just a matter of, like, how are they eventually going to kill the Tide? Even if they doom him, will they be able to bring him down with the IO behind?
Yeah, like you can look at the scoreboard, see a 2-0 EG lead, and you can see, you know, a bit of a CS advantage in a couple of these lanes. A third kill now, but the goal difference is still under 1K for now. That could change as Ortiz looking to get a second kill up here. Zephyr gets chased down. Fly with the double kill. Not giving anything to his carry there.
I wonder how he got caught on Cuckoo. I wasn't expecting them to make the aggressive move there. This is it's just such a game of survival for T1. I think if they overextend a few more times, they could be in some serious trouble, because a lot of EG's damage is just very, what I would call, convenient. You know, these heroes don't do anything special. You just win trades with Anchor Smash. You win trades with the Whirling Axe mischance from Troll Warlord. They're not going to like have any heavy investment. It's pretty much like consistent trading in favor of EG, while individual ability usage in favor of T1.
Constant battle mid as Abed's keeping Carl very, very low, but there's some backup. Zephyr comes in for a little salve here.
That salve is clutch, because both heroes have kill threat on each other. And
it's right before this 6-minute rune. I imagine T1's like, we want to get this puck a 6-minute rune so we can make something happen on the map. ET camping the bottom one is...
I like these moves by the supports on team.
Yeah, they really want to make sure they get this rune. It's going to spawn top of double damage, but Fly is there ready to take it. Wanted to leave for the storm, but didn't get a chance to do so as Carl decides not to go for any kind of aggressive Dream Core play. Probably doesn't want to commit that just on a silencer kill.
Savage is chilling underneath his tower alone, so meanwhile, as long as nothing in the side lanes negative is happening, they don't mind committing this many supports to the mid lane.
It's Tide, though. There's just nothing you can do. Tide and IO. There's Sustain, Ring of Health, Soul Ring, plus the IO Tether. Has that Headress going, so it just doesn't feel like they've got the damage to push this Tide out unless they get some kind of big TP from Puck or Doom.
And we are seeing the carry meta, though. Wand and Falcon Blade.
Yep.
That's the idea. Mana regen, stats, and some damage. And the whole idea is to just stand your ground and hit some creeps.
I don't know if Spectre was the same, but I saw Ortiz on the troll. He just got it before his boots, so...
Yeah, no, Spectre got it before boots. She doesn't have boots yet.
Oh, there we go.
Spectre specifically has such serious damage issues in the lane that it makes so much sense on her, even though she's like a movement speed-based hero. If she's catching up to you and hits for like a wet noodle, it doesn't matter anymore.
No. You can see there, top 2 net worths are on that T1 side. Doom, of course, with that gold boost always coming in from the Devour, but yeah, Puck is out farming the Storm fairly significantly with that small camp.
Rotation is huge, right? I think the fact that it looked like Abed, you saw the way he was playing, right? He was committing so much to bullying Carl out of the lane, and then they just come back with a salve, make sure Abed doesn't get the rune, and now I think it's hard to see because we weren't watching it the whole time, but I imagine he committed a lot of resources to make that situation happen, and this is completely negated by that rotation. So that's really good awareness by T1 to kind of just slam that door.
Definitely.
Arcane Rune.
It's been a very passive game from T1, but you look at the numbers and where things stand right now, the fact they're down 4-0 and they're even on gold, and you got to feel at least pretty okay with this. We talked about how if they can get into the mid game with, you know, just farm their items, hit their timings, like this is fine for them. So we're not seeing that kind of EG just overrunning them right now.
I want to see Carl and Cuckoo connect. They've got the coil with the Arcane Rune, and they've got the Doom available. Whoever gets caught by that will die.
Do you think there's like, do they want to connect around the mid lane, top lane, or is it a certain hero they want to be ganking?
I think Doom is an offlaner that doesn't like to move unless his lane sucks, and he's free farming. So I'd like to see them connecting to him, but he's actually going bot.
Yeah, no points in the Ravage. He's still level 5. Ice. Gets the tether from Crit and will actually get away okay. Well, it's not the connection you were hoping for.
Yeah, the problem is that their damage is lacking. The supports are level starved, like they're level hungry, I'll say. Both supports need a lot of levels to do the damage that they need to do, and we see Zephyr, like, he's making use of this rotation by getting levels mid, but as of right now, Spectre's a hero that would rather you fight away from her so she can join you if she wants with the Haunt, and Doom is like the scary hero where nobody's laning it, so maybe their idea is that Ice is the pressure creator, so let's shut him down.
Yeah.
But they just had no damage.
And now, one of the things that you mentioned, lacking damage and support levels, both teams giving the supports the mid lane. So Abed seeing the puck come bottom is like, okay, I'm going to come to. Global Silence comes out, but Carl gets the silence off before.
He was phase shifted during the silence. That's clutch. I have to imagine he thought of that, because Storm didn't do anything to threaten him yet. So that's really good awareness.
Right now, T1 kind of keeping the status quo, continuing to farm. An Abed rotation bottom doesn't lead to a whole lot. While Puck, similar story, did actually, you know, he went to the jungle, farmed a double camp, so he's back farming lanes as well as neutral camps, hoping for a 10-minute rune to spawn top. No such luck. It goes the way of Abed. Just an illusion rune, though.
Good against the silence, but other than that, doesn't really do much. Ooh, massive stack.
Juicy.
That's going to be his Midas.
Yeah. Always nice to clear up a stack around, ideally earlier, but getting all those neutral items all at once, so nice little boost as well. Ravage coming out bottom. They want to get this 23-7 Spectrum with the Abed zip in. They will do so. White Men in some trouble as well as Abed dodges the stomp with the ball lightning. Zephyr's showing up. Can he kill anyone with the kisses here? He's looking for Crit here, but Crit dodging it so nicely. Gets clipped by one at the end. He doesn't manage to get away. Very close, but a nice TP in from the Snapfire to turn this around, get 2 kills on the EG supports. As we're going to see a bit of a force from Cuckoo. Still has the Doom here. He's holding on to it for now. Didn't find an opportunity to go in. He was a bit too low there. Probably didn't want to commit. And Carl going to back off, continue farming himself.
Yeah, the only issue with that for T1 is that was a 4v5, where they had 5 and EG only had 4. RT's has been hitting creeps this entire time, and it's crazy to me. I don't feel like Carl has been farming all that much based on like what he's been doing in the game. Like he's been active, and yet he's still the #1 net worth in the game. So this is just crazy efficiency. I'd almost have to watch this back to see how he has such high net worth. But EG putting a lot of pressure on this bottom tower, and they're just not afraid. You see it in the way they're playing. They're not necessarily like Ice is not playing exactly a kill hero, but he's diving behind the T1 with half health.
Yep.
Against T1. I feel like I did that unintentionally.
All right, T1 saying wait. Wasn't looking for mercy for the Snapfire. The T1 tower will go down, and this is, 11.5 minutes in. Pretty late for the first T1 tower to go down, but it just wasn't the game plan for either of these teams, really.
Yeah, this is definitely the least tower damage I've seen if you add all 10 heroes together in a while. Troll eventually does tower damage, but with the way they reworked TPs a couple patches ago where you can TP much further from the tower, it's difficult for any hero that has to be melee range to ever siege towers in the early game.
All right, TZ continuing to farm towards that Maelstrom now as the treads to go with it. And it is EG themselves kind of matching T1, playing a bit of 4 Protect 1 themselves, having Arteezy just continue to free farm away on his side of the map in the jungle.
Yeah, the way these 4 Protected ones operate, though, is very different. Trolls, like, get 1 or 2 items, time to go, while Spectre's like, how long can we make this game last?
Yeah.
He is queuing up the Ags. I would be curious if he eventually goes for, like, a Radiance or a Scotty, where his purpose is to remove the IO sustain from the picture. But as of now, looks like he's queuing up the standard items.
Yeah.
He's got the Ags into Manta.
I mean, you mentioned the importance of playing against like the silence and stuff for the Manta, so.
Yeah, Ags nowadays on Spectre, the game's just too fast. You can't really wait around for Haunt to be available, and that's why pretty much all the Spectres have elected to go for Ags. Also, the dagger talents make her feel a lot better. The 5 seconds at level 10 combined with the 100 damage at level 15.
Yeah.
You farm pretty decent because you're one-shotting range creeps now. It just feels a lot better. I've only played it a few times myself, but I can see why these players, it just feels good. As a player, you just know it feels good.
And with the way Dispersion works, just an item that tanks you up is always going to feel nice.
Yeah, just raw stats. Any illusion hero, too, benefits from stats pretty heavily. And EG, I think both teams are okay with that. As a carry Spectre, you're fine to like come in real quick and get a kill with your Haunt. And then on EG side, you're fine if they use Haunt to kill a 5.
Yeah. Are you feeling the state of this game favors either team right now?
T1 is in a much better spot coming out of the laning stage than I thought they would be.
Yeah.
It's a matter of who makes the next move, and if EG gets like tier 1 mid in the next like 3 minutes, I think the map's going to shut down for them very quickly. But if they can manage to kind of just hold the door and keep their area of farm available to them, I really like what the state of the game for them. I think the status quo favors them right now. EG smoked up. They seem to agree.
What can they make happen with this one? They want to strike before some of these perhaps BKB timings. Kuki with the Midas, you know, typical Doom build, but isn't quite online just yet. 14-minute rune going to come out. Arteezy even looking to join the fight for this one. They go on the puck and they hit him with the global silence as he comes out. He gets caught by the last word. The Doom is there on Arteezy.
He's ranged
Cookie isn't going to catch anybody there as Kuku is charging in. The Ravage going to zone them away, and Doom in the front lane does not have that BKB. Arteezy getting incredibly low here. Is he going to die? He gets helped out by the tether. That's going to keep him alive.
Oh,
but instead it's the Storm. Storm goes down as the TP out from Doom keeps him alive. And Arteezy, the kisses! Oh no! Can he get him one more time? It's close! He manages to barely... Oh! Death from above. Zephyr snipes Arteezy. And T1 win a huge fight.
Arteezy was probably walking away there thinking, you can kiss my ass. And then he literally did kiss his ass, and he's dead now. That looked painful.
It looked beautiful for like the first 4 that he dodged, and then the final.
Really well played by T1. This is exactly what they had to do. I was just like, just hold your ground, guys. They committed everything. Even without the Haunt, they were confident to take that engagement. They got the spells off on the crucial targets. The fact that he got doomed in ranged form on our team, it just feels so bad. So really good awareness that I think he probably just swapped in order to cast ranged whirling axes. The coil got off as well. Usually the problem with Doom is that they walk away. Crit had also tethered another ally, so it was on cooldown for the majority of the Doom. He wasn't able to sustain him through it. And that just feels really bad if you're a Troll Warlord against Spectre and now you're suddenly like about neck and neck, while your other 2 cores on the Spectre side are also doing very well.
Yeah. I imagine Arteezy, when he's kind of sitting in the front lines there, is expecting a bit more in the way of backup. And he's probably also, I mean, we talk about Doom targets, you normally think Tide, Storm. Troll, you wouldn't think of, like, top priority necessarily.
I think at this stage in the game, he's really their only damage, like their sustained damage. It's like you're going to use Ravage on Tide, and Storm's got a limited amount of mana, but if they're locked down, the Troll's going to be the one dishing it out.
Okay, I see. I like it. And EG have to now consider that. You can't use the Troll as the dangler. I believe that's the word in the biz.
That is the vocab, yes.
Yes. Gotta put the Tide out there.
Yeah, the thing is I think they can afford for Arteezy to get doomed or coiled, but I don't think they can let both happen prior to him disengaging. And the fact that Carl was also able to get the coil off right as the Ravage came out, I think was the difference maker there. He does almost have the Orchid on Abed. The thing is that Carl rushed a Yule Scepter, and he's already got the Witchblade on top of it. So I was concerned about the Yules because Puck's early and mid-game damage is lacking, especially with all the nerfs, but now that he's also got the Witchblade, the Yule's, the downside of it, which is that you lack damage, is completely negated. Yeah.
So far, this is feeling like a bit of a statement game from Carl. Like,
it is. Yes.
To every team out there who's going to watch this replay or see, you know, regardless of the outcome, they're going to see this and be like, wow, Carl's puck. Yeah, we might have to, you know, put some second phase respect bands onto that one.
The crazy thing is, I think if he had died at level 3, where he had that slight maneuver to live, this game could look completely upside down to what it is now. Which is just crazy how little things in Dota just add up.
I'm sure as a mid player, he's played that matchup almost 100 times too, and knew that he was not going to die there. Nice jump onto the ET. That's going to finish him off.
I guess you can like fade away as you attack through your ball lightning. I didn't know that's how that worked. They do get the mid tower, but it was not cheap. They lost a lot of heroes, and it took them committing a second time grouped up where they're not farming EG's style, where they like to turn that laning stage advantage into farm, but usually you have to get the towers first. And that delayed process has allowed Cuckoo to get his BKB.
Here come T1 smoked up, but Arteezy, I feel like he's got some of the best map sense of...
There's nobody showing.
Yeah.
Radiant are scanning.
He's not getting caught down there. They do get him with the scan, but doesn't look like T1 want to be making the move into that enemy triangle right now. They decide against it. They've got the BKB on the Doom, which is perhaps why they considered that aggressive move, but they're respecting what EG can do, and perhaps also realizing what happened last time may not come so easily. If if you throw everything on that one here, if they do get tether saved, relocated out, that can be a problem.
This is a huge item from Zephyr. Support Snapfire rushing a Lotus Orb against the Orchid as well as the Global Silence. That's massive, honestly. On anybody who they commit onto, you just put the Lotus Orb on, you cancel the Storm Pull. Yeah, it doesn't like stop the Ravage or the Troll, but overall, I think it just makes it way easier for every hero on T1 to play the game.
Yeah, only 200 gold away from it, assuming he's disassembling his Arcane Boots. So
yeah,
very early timing for him.
You know you're like in control of the game when your support is allowed to just farm the dangerous area of the map by themselves to complete a crucial item. Usually you're like, okay, let's wait for our support as we give them the hard camp, but instead this time, now they're probably going to look to connect here. They have all their ultimates available. This Lotus Orb timing's pretty huge.
And hasn't come at the cost of like really any of the other cores getting their farm too much. Like, yeah, Spectre's number 6, but that's just the pace at which Spectre sometimes farms.
I'm kind of down for Spectre to be in this spot when you have a hero like Doom. Spectre plays more like a ganker with the build. He actually went Manta first, by the way, over the Ags, which I don't mind because of how many silences there are.
Yep.
But also Doom, he is like a carry-esque offlaner. He's going to play very greedily on the map.
EG going to charge forward with Fly on the Silencer. He's baiting a little bit here. They get the silence out, but defense maneuvers there. The global silence now from Fly as the BKB Doom on the front lines doesn't have a chance of dealing with him. Gets the Doom out, takes out the Tide with the Silencer. No Ravage in play, and EG have to just walk away with their tail tucked between their legs.
I think EG have underestimated how expertly T1 goes about playing the map defensively.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have to adjust going into game 2. I'm not even trying to say like game 1's already over, but I think EG thought they were going to be able to play their normal style of win the lanes, invade, and the win lane part happened, and then the invade part kind of flopped. And now we're seeing T1 just like kind of do whatever they want with their ultimates. Yep. And I think this Force of the Roche, it seems nice, but because you have like the Manta from Spectre, pretty high damage with the Desolate, but they have all of their abilities on EG except for Global, while T1 has nothing.
Yeah. And with the Manta, the Yules, and the Lotus, it doesn't feel like the Global's the big spell necessarily. But looking for the backlines here. They throw out the Ravage to secure the Aegis. Arteezy going to guarantee they pick it up, and 23 Savage could be in some trouble here. Gets back to the high ground, gets pulled back. Abed, can they finish off this kill? And you betcha. Spectre goes down. He made a ballsy play going for the Aegis snipe, and it did not pay off. Great Ravage to secure the Aegis. And EG's not done. They're chasing. They're looking for more. Puck on the backlines takes out the Silencer, but will he pay for this with his life? But doesn't really have the damage or the mana for this one.
He might be going
and
down.
Yeah, he doesn't have the Aegis. Luckily, a tether comes in from the Io. Crit going to look to bail him out. Carl's still fighting, and now with Cuckoo showing up, he gets the stomp. He's doing some big damage here. Abed healed up just enough to stay alive.
Who's killing who?
The Orchid onto the Puck. He's going to use in a couple of seconds. Is he going to be okay? It's going to be close. Gets the phase shift. Doesn't have a blink, though. Needs to Orb. Waning Rift's out of there.
Holy
Orb
crap.
to the lockout. And he's out.
This guy's good.
Oh, you love to see it. Carl showing off some of that SEA Dota mechanics there.
I feel like if we wanted to show like the recap of like deciding plays of this game, it's the level 3 play by Carl and that play right there. Like if he dies either of these times, like if he dies the first time, he's definitely dying that time. And if he dies there, this game could be unrecognizable as well. because you're at a stage where you have the momentum on T1, but both teams have ridiculous like map play. You know, we have IO on one side, and then you have Spectre, Doom, Puck on the other. You know, just whoever shows by themselves is gonna die. So whatever team controls the map is naturally gonna have way more control because the supports can afford to show by themselves because they don't really care about dying to like a massive combo of abilities.
And you see it there. Like Zephyr's just like, I'll just farm the lane in plain sight while my my core Doom is just chilling.
Yeah, you're gonna see a lot of off-map play from the cores in this game.
EG themselves, when they smoked to the high ground, it was Fly running in first, willing to just throw away his life. Probably had buyback for a buyback global play, but supports are the ones that need to use their body for vision. If you don't have wards, you just have to sometimes sacrifice yourself.
And they've got the Centaur Stomp on Doom. They're probably just going to find the Silencer.
Oh, I bet, yeah, he just pulls out of there. Throws out an Orchid, and I believe he realizes Fly's fate. They still got an Aegis, EG. This Troll, maybe not the Aegis carrier they intended. They just probably wanted to make sure they picked it up. Not a bad one by any means.
Yeah,
but
you'd 10 times rather have Storm have it.
Yeah.
They definitely, it was a pretty panicky situation. Scramble for the Aegis. And T1 still looks like they want to go.
Yeah. Nice ice, good reactions. Gets out of there.
Did he see them, or was that just game sense?
I think the smoke popped before he blinked in.
Yeah, it's one of those situations he's probably like kind of ready for it, and then he sees you, so he reacts.
Yeah.
Oh, but Arteezy on the other hand.
Whoa.
I don't know if Aegis means
Got an
anything.
Aegis, but the IO. Okay. Oh no! He tried to relocate him out, but he died.
Wait,
Where
what?
he died?
What?
Where did he die? He lost the Aegis. He died in the fountain. I guess the infernal blade damage or something. Some damage killed him, and he just died in the fountain and lost the Aegis.
That might be a matter of like server ticks.
Yeah.
Like how close that was. I feel like he died outside of base.
Okay.
But it registered when he's in base because we've seen that before, where you TP home.
I think we can take another look as what.
Yeah, that's worth looking at.
We'll get the mechanics nerds on this one.
Okay, so
See exactly what happened. It kind of happened a little too fast there, but
okay, so they Oh, the coil snap was what killed him.
Got it.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, okay.
That's a good chunk
now.
of damage. Yep. Okay.
Understood now. But it still shows it outside of base, which is interesting because I guess that's where the damage instance
Yeah.
occurred.
It's not until he's moved that he dies.
Huh.
Yeah, if he died there, that would have been very bad for EG. I mean, the game state is, either way, however you look at it, not particularly good for EG there. Anytime it feels like T1's getting that execution off with this, just any Doom on any target, like, yeah, Tide is great, but it feels like Storm, Troll, there's a lot of targets, but as long as you get one, the fight can go well for them.
Nah, whenever all the spells are available in the game, it totally favors T1.
Oh, Carl, as he pushed things a bit too far here. Yules off the Orchid, the Global Silence is there to follow it up. And that penetrates through the Yules Scepter.
I'm learning some interesting mechanics that I wasn't confident on before this, that you cannot Global Silence a Puck who's phase shifted, but you can Global Silence somebody who's Yules, so that's interesting.
Yep.
He has to be careful with popping that Yules too early, then. Maybe he gets a secondary way to remove silences even, worth considering, because of how many there are.
Get that, like, BKB even, who knows. But for now, once the Axe Scepter, which is, of course, fantastic playing against Troll, Storm, who are going to have these BKBs. And EG taking over this bottom side of the map.
And Troll will punish you if you ever lose a core like this. Lose an entire tier 2. That was a full HP tower. This is necessary for EG, though, to even be in the game. I feel like T1 still drastically in control of this game.
Yeah, and it doesn't really... Oh, I love how Crit does it and Zephyr's like, well, I've got that one too.
I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah. Abed paying homage to his SEA brethren, the other SEA teams with the Vietnamese lines. And yeah, I mean, for T1, they feel very relaxed with how they're playing. Like, there's no pressure on them to make moves. They're making good moves, but they're happy to just play this slow and keep farming as well.
Definitely seems like it's been cat and mouse where T1 is the cat somehow, even though they're like a satiated cat.
Honk gives him some vision. Cuckoo follows it up. Arteezy's already got the BKB off. Earth Splitter follow-up is not going to do anything, and Arteezy, through his ultimate, is going to find the puck here, but Carl gets out of there for a little bit. Crit trying to save Arteezy. Nice relocate out.
That's clutch.
Very clutch, right After the Trolls ulti had worn off, he was doomed. He was
they
in
gonna fight?
all
I think
sorts of
so.
trouble.
I think he's bringing Arteezy
And
back.
I think, yeah, T1 deciding SSI checks things out and realizes, okay, they've left.
That, honestly, I wish he had just blindly ravaged there, because that would have just been one of the funniest looking things I've seen in a while. But
That's something SSI would do.
it really is. Arteezy didn't get a single bash on Cuckoo there. It was really unfortunate for him, because I think he would have managed to bring him down, because he had all the fervor stacks on the Doom, and then he first hit bash the puck right after.
We mentioned cat and mouse, and I got to say, the roles have definitely reversed when 5 T1 ultimates are on cooldown. EG are hunting.
I feel like net worth doesn't mean all that much this game as long as the game's close. It's so much about cooldowns.
Yeah.
Because when all the abilities are available, T1's in control. When nobody has abilities, I'd much rather be EG. And in this case, they still have the Ravage and the Global Silence.
Fly almost went down to a...
the Ag Spectre.
Yeah, the mini horn. Almost a solo kill there with the Manta Illusions, it looks like.
Yeah, you have to be really careful. I learned this. So when you use the Ag Scepter and you kill the person, you can't. The illusion that you took the place of, leave. It disappears.
So you're
So
stuck
you're
there.
Yeah, you're stuck there. So you actually have to leave ahead of time.
Oh, this time around.
This is what exactly just happened.
Oh no.
Is he out?
He's got TP.
Okay, that
So
was
you-
exactly what just happened.
So it's like you want to go back to where you came from and leave your illusions to finish off the kill.
Yes, and if
ideally.
the problem is with support sometimes you actually kill them so fast that you don't even realize. I think that's what just happened there.
Yeah.
So fortunately, there was nobody else around that time around.
I feel like Spectre this tournament is going to be like the hero these support players have nightmares about.
It always is. There's no positioning when the hero can just push a button.
Yeah.
It's very expensive, or it's very costly to find out that the opponent has a ward when you're against Ag Spectre. You usually find out by dying.
We'll see where Carl looks to go. Has the X queued up, but holding on to the money for now. And we're certainly thinking about Roshan buybacks. It's kind of that crucial stage of the game where T1 have their ultimates back now, and you mentioned this is where they're in control. This is when they want to make the move, and they're going to smoke up with Force. Spectre able to farm and push out lanes, can always haunt on in.
Tide's got a refresh.
EG themselves going to meet this, with the refresher Tide.
Who's
Can
jumping?
they
who
blow
here?
up someone like the Puck? That would be huge for them. Size. Smoke going to pop. He doesn't want to commit anything when he sees the Doom, perhaps knowing that he can BKB quickly. You definitely can't rely on a Blink Ravage on a BKB target. They get the Doom out on Arteezy. He needs help. He needs that IO save. The mech is there. Crit healing him up a little bit. There's going to be the first Ravage. It catches at the Doom. That manages to pick him off. Now the Global Silence keeping things down for now as EG throw him up in the air with a Ravage. And Size has perhaps won this fight as EG Arteezy. He gets off the ultimate. Healing himself back up a little bit. The chase is on T1. Haven't got the outcome they were hoping for. Not ready for the refresher Tide, and they're going to lose 3.
I don't know exactly what happened there with the coil, but when you have the Spectre Haunt, that has to be used to scout out crit. Because if they manage to pick off crit there, Arteezy's 100% going to go down. And the coil was used on, I believe, Abed, rather than crit. And although it's like a core storm, I think crit's actually more important in this case than anyone else on all of EG, to make sure that relocate does not go off, or at least even just the sustain. Because he's got Holy Locket mech. That's like 1,000 HP.
He's playing around with an Ag Shard as well.
Oh, that could be really frustrating.
Yeah.
For Spectre or Puck, or even Doom, who tries to blink in and get the stun off. It makes the tether stun. The old tether. The classic, like, 5 years ago tether. It's a 1.75 second stun. Against a hero like Troll, you could just die full of 0 if you get stunned by that.
Relocate down bottom just for some farming.
It's really important. This is really nice. That means you can kind of just play top with the entirety of EG and never have to worry about coming bottom again. And Titan Sliver as well.
Against the Doom, we saw last fight, just biding your time for that Doom to wear off is just such a crucial part of this Troll's game.
Yeah, magic resistance is also amazing against ET, who removes all of your base magic resistance.
Do you think the Doom priority needs to change now that Tide has this refresher? Because we've seen Doom almost exclusively on Arteezy this game.
Yes, I do believe that early on in the game, it was more important, but now, unless you plan to catch the IO, you either have to get Troll and IO. As we see, Carl attempted to coil Abed, actually, but he missed. That's the one thing that scares me about T1's lineup. I don't think you can afford to miss any of their combo because they just have so much combo break on EG that 2 out of 3 portions of the puzzle are not going to be good enough. As you see there, Arteezy narrowly surviving.
Nice SIs. Timing that first Ravage perfectly to clip the Doom. Not sure if he meant to blink and catch more, but it worked out fine because EG caught T1 completely by surprise with the second Ravage. But more than anything, it was just keeping that troll alive.
I think it's not. You're not even like expecting to catch anymore. You're just like, if you guys are sticking around to try to finish off the troll, I will get you with this Ravage. So it's covering all their bases, like kind of just guaranteeing safety for his carry.
Yep. Yeah, Spectre jumping in or something could have maybe been the killing blow. Looks like EG are going to be ready, but T1 just making sure everything's working on their voice comms.
He's sticking with the Paladin sword, Arteezy, as opposed to the Titan Sliver for now. He might be swapping that out since they recently found it.
I mean, you're playing with Io, obviously amplified healing, always great, but...
What is this? A game of some sort?
I'm skeptical of it being better than Titan Sliver,
Yeah.
but he does not have a source of lifesteal, and Troll does generally love having lifesteal. I mean, I like his build. I like Arteezy's
Casual
build here.
Sange.
The casual Sange, yeah. Into Satanic. Your job is to stand your ground because there's no running from Puck Doom, and you've got the IO to help you do that. And even if... Oh, he's got the... Oh, never mind. He's got the whole Sange and Yasha. I thought it might have been just a casual Sange.
Oh, that's... yeah, that's probably where he doesn't want the Titan Sliver. He's already got the status resist, so...
Yeah. Oh, and he is going for the late Orchid. We've seen Echo Saber disassemble on Spectre into the Ags, then Orchid, because you had the Oblivion Staff, but he actually just went for a late Orchid. It's pretty good here. Even just making it so you can Orchid the Io, honestly, just to prevent him from tethering, could be good enough.
Zephyr, TP's out. Hiding in the trees there is Crit and Arteezy, just making sure all these lanes stay as pushed out as possible. Carl hasn't really grown on his puck. He's holding onto a lot of gold here. Hasn't quite been able to get to that next big item just yet.
Looks like he's deliberating, but they've already got the Doom with the Shivas queued up. I imagine you almost always want to go Shivas on Doom because it helps you lock on to whoever you Doom. And also, usually you beat Doom by sustaining, and the Shivas with the 25% heal reduction aura helps you out there a lot. So yeah, he does get that. I doubt Carl will go for a second Shivas.
Also will help boost his mana pool, which, you know, probably wants a refresher at some point if this game does drag on, maybe even as his next item.
Yeah, he doesn't need much time for that. He's a Doombringer with Midas and a Quickening Charm.
Yeah.
So very nice item for Doom there. Basically a second Midas with the way it works with the Devour as well as the Midas.
We'll see EG play that map starvation game. They've got the Aegis now. They've got the ability to keep T1 bottled up in their base. Bottom lane's the one place where T1's able to kind of poke their noses out, send a support to go push. They do not seem to have much interest in trying to take a fight to EG right now.
That's the beauty of that relocate bottom that EG did earlier, because now T1's the one that has to go push bottom, because the only way to take EG out of their triangle is to force EG to go bottom, because you don't feel happy walking high ground into a global plus Tide plus Aegis. So it just gives EG control of the map because T1's now the team that's forced to go bottom. So it's little things like that that EG does really well that sets themselves up on the map. And I think T1's acting accordingly. I don't think they have another choice now that they're down by 6k and there's the Aegis on EG. They don't really have like a clear target to go on. Troll's kind of the one they've been committing on to so far. I don't think Abed's ever going to present himself either.
EG did go for a little smoke to try and see where they could maybe find a pickup on the map, but T1 playing very good around their kind of lack of vision, just really doing the bare minimum to push out these lanes as far as showing themselves and committing.
Looks like 23 Savage is being annoying. He's forcing them to react. He agsed Mantha and just instantly left, and Crit was forced to untether Arteezy and tether onto Fly just to make sure he stays alive. But yeah, this is what T1 does best. We were talking about the stall game. You can't get away with the way they play if you don't avoid those types of smokes, because that's exactly how teams like to end the game. That's like an in-the-game smoke from EG. It's kind of fishing for a big kill, and if you give it to them, you're in some serious trouble.
speaking of, end the game plays, this isn't maybe kind of, well, not end game item. We see a Lincoln Sphere now picked up for the Tide Hunter. That's going to make this Doom's life a lot more difficult getting that ultimate off.
I want to see if he can time it. If he can get somebody to pop his Lincolns and then refresher. Block the Doom. It's going to be the first time for everything. I've never seen it. I don't think I've ever seen a refresher and a Lincolns in someone's inventory. Except for the people that are from Dota 1, where they learned how to be efficient was to buy 3 Perseverance.
Yes, that was, you rush Perseverance on every hero.
Yeah.
That was the old school build.
Yeah, back
Perseverance
when they get 10
Radiance.
damage. Yes, exactly.
It was a Medusa build.
I don't think it was a Tide build, though.
No. Here you go. Another little poke coming from 23 Savage. Both teams just posturing around each other here. Cuckoo sees OT's in the front lines, but doesn't want to go on him. Storm Abed zipping in here, but he gets caught. There's the Doom coming out. They get the coil as well. He is donezo and doesn't have buyback. That could have been a buyback opportunity since they committed a lot to kill him, but without it, EG probably just have to back off.
Abed slightly overextending, and you can just see that even though EG's up by 6K, how scary T1's lineup is, right? Like, he overextended for a split second, and he's just insta-stomped, insta-coiled, and just dead. So they've absolutely got the firing power needed to bring down targets. Obviously, the Aegis really puts a damper on T1's ability to do so. But we're just seeing here what this Aegis' impact in this specific game is. Whenever you have a Doom in the equation, Aegis always goes up in value. And once this Aegis goes away, which
It's gone now,
yeah.
yeah.
I think
Got a couple minutes.
EG's always going to have to be very scared when that Doom is available.
Yep. We are seeing that T1 don't want to overcommit on RTZ lives. They've, it worked for them great throughout the early game, but last fight or two, they throw too much on him. And if he gets bailed out by Crit's IO, then that's where the fights have gone a bit south for them. So
Timeless Relic for Storm,
Dire's middle
of
tower
course.
is under attack.
So
has the Storm got the Ags? He headed there, I got to imagine?
He is.
Headed.
He's headed there, but he ain't close. He stopped. He took a pit stop for the Bloodstone and lost some charges there. I really feel like the game changer is this Elder Titan in the late game,
Radiant
because he just makes every core paper if he's actually alive. Now the question is if he can actually stay alive, because there's some scary damage coming out from
Yeah,
EG.
that feels more maybe like the spirit with the magic resistance, but getting close to someone to get rid of their armor is a tough ask.
Yeah, just get like BKB Axe, honestly. That's all he needs. Aesthetics cap. That's a big one, because that gives you status resistance, 40%, which I believe applies when you get the spell casted on you. So like if Doom was casted and you have the cap, I believe you will get 40% resistance on the Doom itself.
Okay.
So that's something I will find out for sure conclusively through this game.
That sounds nice. Timeless Relic on both sides, by the way. Puck's got one as well, so.
Nobody's taking it, so maybe it doesn't work that way. Or maybe they don't know either, kind of like me here, and they're just like,
They
"Not
don't want to
worth
figure
finding
out in middle of TI.
I've got a little bit less invested in this mystery.
Yeah. Carl just playing very aggressive on the map with the A on Dis, feeling like he can push the limit of his hero a bit further.
Yeah, they don't have any dispels. Actually, they don't have Axe Troll. Yeah. They don't have any dispels for the Eon Disc. So once he pops that, he will for sure be able to disengage from there, or just cast all of his spells and kill somebody with the Axe Coil.
Reaching that 40-minute mark soon. Tier 4 items all out on the map, and here's especially these carries, these cores, they're hitting that kind of max item status. Big Doom coming out. They're going on Arteezy's Troll. Is the Eye going to back him up here? There's the first Ravage looking for a second, but the Earth Splitter does a lot here with the coil on several, but Abed, he's still alive for now. He's in the front lines just doing all kinds of damage here. They're taking the Doom. Arteezy is just, he is full health. BKB Troll, unstoppable, and that fight went awful for T1.
That was such a cool play from Zephyr. He blinked in and used the shard on Snapfire to push Arteezy out of the coil, and I swear, he was like 50 units from the edge of that coil, and it would have killed him. And man, it's like Dota's so cool for that, but it seems pretty depressing that you can be like 50 units of a coil breaking from a carry dying compared to wiping you know?
Game of inches.
It's crazy.
And that's where, you go back to you mentioned, a couple patches ago where Puck was like the mid-hero. The hero felt at its best and strongest when you had that synergy with something that can break the coil. We saw it a lot with the Tinies, the Earth Spirits. They're trying to make it happen with the cookie there, but couldn't quite do it.
That's definitely a ultra poor man's, poverty, homeless version of the Earth Spirits and such. But yeah, I respect it. They knew they needed every little ounce of damage that they got, and that Paladin Sword plus Satanic plus Io, it was barely enough. So what do you know? Arteezy gets it.
I mean, great game. This is neck and neck, 15-16 on kills. EG get themselves another Roshan. They got the last one as well, but that does not necessarily change the state of the game too much. It does give them a bit of an edge, some breathing room, but we saw T1. They're very good at just playing it safe and keeping up on farm to a certain extent, even when they're playing into EG with an Aegis.
I feel like EG, with this draft, really tested T1 saying, we know you execute really well, but just how well can you execute? We've got so many ways to prevent you from finishing off targets, and you're seeing how close it is, man. It's crazy that it's so much like it's just one little spell here or there on either side. One guy misclicks anything, the saves or the actual combos themselves.
Yeah.
Even just what if Zephyr goes for a Veil or a Kaya or something, just something that gives them an extra 200 damage. Could that make the difference? Probably. What is he? Oh, he's killing the creep wave. Interesting.
Gonna get punished for it.
Was that really that desperate of a situation? It might be. He's saying that mid creep wave's worth his death.
He's pinging those 2 melee creeps that slip by, so he's saying someone needs to get him the ET, trying to, but...
Honestly, I respect that. You got to know your worth. And creep waves at this stage in the game that represent the high ground push can mean a lot. They can be worth a whole lot. So that's what he's saying. 23 Savage might be in some trouble.
Oh yeah, they global silence after the Manta. They throw out a Ravage as well. They're committed and they're going to get this kill. No buyback as well. He gets caught with his pants down as Arteezy. Ice is going to go for the refresh plate instantly. Has the refresher as well as the refresher shard. So, Ravages galore from this Tidehunter. That may be the call for the high ground now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was all meant to buy time for 23 Savage to represent some sort of pressure somewhere else for EG to address, and they addressed it. They more than usually you'd call necessary.
It's like the first big mistake we've seen from the Spectre this game, but it is a costly one. Doesn't have buyback, and looking like it could be at least one lane of Raxia going the way of EG.
He's got leveler too, so
yeah,
a lot of damage.
Carl looking for a creep wave, I believe. Not gonna find it. Arteezy will finish off both melee and range tracks, make his way towards top. Cuckoo just trying to bait out some spells. Not gonna achieve a whole lot there as they continue to try and delay. Using the ET, the stomp is there, the kiss is raining on down. Arteezy getting a little low here, but he's got the sustain. No chance of killing him through the Satanic, and Cuckoo got stunned as he jumped in. Was that the tether stun?
Oh, the tether stun, yes, the tether stun.
He got the puck.
We
Has
talked
the
about that
Aeon Disc.
earlier.
Okay, he gets out of there with the help of the Aeon Disc, but I think it was Doom as well getting caught by that one. That is problematic for him as EG going to find themselves taking a second lane of Rax here, uncontested.
Now, all the viewers at home who haven't watched Dota in like 5 years, and they're like, how are they blinking into this tether stun? The most powerful part of that shard is tether hasn't stunned for like 5 years.
Yeah, right.
So these players aren't used to getting stunned by a tether. So it's really hard to be like, oh yeah, like even though you know it, like how many times have you blinked into a tether?
They want crit. They jump on the eye, but he's got a cheese there. That heals him up instantly, and now the Ravages from Ice. He'll turn and blow up the Puck, as well as the Spectre, who still does not have buyback. And this could be it for T1. Cuckoo desperately trying to go in and find somebody on the backlines, but EG, they're all fully healthy. And Arteezy, eye on the prize, going for the Raxi. This will be the Mega Creeps as Abed jumps in with the Axe Vortex, catches out 2. The follow-up is there, and the Earth Split are going to be absolutely useless as EG will kill 3 and secure themselves game number 1. A really back-and-forth game, one where we saw moments of brilliance really from both teams, I feel like.
Yeah, there were 2 or 3 small plays. I mean, they ended up being large plays, but going the other way, this game would be day and night to what we just saw. So I'm thoroughly impressed with T1 with their lineup of how they are able to get out of the laning phase, and then I'm also impressed with EG and how well they were able to execute their combo breaker. They drafted for it. Both teams had a clear plan, and I love games of Dota where you're like, okay, we've got this plan, very obvious. This plan, very obvious. Who's going to execute better?
Yeah, definitely a good sign of what's to come, not just for Game 2, but the tournament as a whole. These teams both look to be on their A game.
Yeah, this is a great series. I'm looking forward to Game 2.
Unfortunately for T1, they need to get wins, though. So playing good Dota, having close games against EG, one of the best teams at the tournament, that's not going to cut it. They're 0-3. EG flip that around. They're 3-0. So we're going to see if T1 can pick themselves up some Ws as we head to a quick break and get ourselves ready for the second game of this 2-game series. We'll see you there. And we're back. BSJ, game 1 a wrap. We're not quite ready for game number 2. Teams getting their breaks in. Looking forward to game 2. We're just talking a bit. I mean, good signs for EG, obviously 3-0. What have you seen from them so far in their 3 games?
Just different heroes, I would say, is my emphasis. Arteezy's played Tiny, Razor, and Troll that game.
Yep.
I think the biggest thing about EG in the past has been that they get figured out. They kind
Yeah,
of just run the same thing, run it back, baby. Beat us again, and then eventually, when they get to top 4, people beat them.
Yeah, and it's crazy because they get criticized a lot. I mean, Bulba, the coach, gets criticized a lot, but like they're getting top 2 pretty much, well, both majors, and it's like, well, almost any other team would be super happy with that.
Yeah, I think it's like taking a leap of faith, though, because it's like at some point, I think everyone takes they use certain crutches, that keep them up. And I think for EG, the way they draft so consistently is almost a crutch in the sense that it does, since they're so good, like individually, they're going to get top 3, probably top 4 if they play that way. But if they want to win the whole thing, they're going to have to step it up in terms of versatility.
Yeah. And the other thing for me to remember is, this is a group stage. I think this is where everybody experiments a bit more. I still maybe expect EG to narrow down that hero pool come playoffs.
Yeah.
Like when they're on the main stage in a, game 3 decider, up bracket, lower bracket, whatever it is, they're going to stick to maybe their more predictable draft.
Yeah, but maybe people won't know what that predictable draft is
that's true.
until the semifinals, for instance.
Yeah.
Rather than going into it, they're prepared for exactly what to expect. But I mean, like on the other side, we got T1 who, we were talking about. We really liked the way they played. They got out of the laning stage really well, and they had some really nice execution. But there's no grades in Dota. Like B or A or whatever they played. You lost. You're 0-3. You're at the point where if you don't start racking up some wins, you're almost guaranteed to go lower bracket, potentially eliminated. One team from each group does get eliminated entirely from the event. I don't think they're going to be that team. I think they're definitely better than last, but this is a type of team where I think they're going to need some momentum. I did with players like 23 Savage, just the young guns who, let's be honest, they feast off of confidence.
Outside of Cuckoo, it's the player's first TI.
Yeah.
I mean, for Y1 and Zephyr, the first time Indonesian players have been at TI. I mean, it's a big deal for them representing that country. And yeah, it's a group stage. You're not playing in front of a crowd, but it's a ton of pressure.
And I think every loss compounds that pressure pretty drastically, right? Because every loss is another win that you'll have to get back to 50%. So it's like suddenly that, okay, now we have to win 3 games in a row. Okay, 4 games in a row. More and more seemingly impossible feat to accomplish. Yes, they've faced some tough teams so far, so you have to take that into account. But I just want to. I feel like there's just not the whole picture based on what I've seen from them. Like they've got a lot of the good parts that I think a lot of teams don't even have. Like tier 1 level play on certain aspects of their game. But even just like Carl going for the coil on Abed on the side while Arteezy's doomed, they're not judging properly that this is how many resources we have to delegate to killing this one person. And that kind of stuff that's going to cost you games, honestly.
And I'd say also for T1 fans, don't despair. Like there have been countless times where teams have started at TI and gone 0-6 on day 1. Didn't OG have a terrible day
OG
one?
at
they,
TI.
They went 0-6 on day 1?
They barely made upper bracket by running a 6-0 and going 8-8 or something in the group stage.
So it is completely okay for a team to have a rough or even terrible day 1. Obviously, it means you have got to get those wins back, but it's not necessarily. It's what's the better thing to do is look at how they're playing, which from what we saw in that game is okay, they're playing good
promising.
Dota. Yeah. They're not looking like a team where you're like, that's a little worrying. I mean, there's some teams I think where we haven't seen that same high level play at times, and there's some teams who are playing with a stand-in. Like Astra, I have a lot of concerns about because they have got a last-minute stand-in. For T1, it's like they've got their team here, they're playing good Dota. Maybe they need to refine some things, figure out their strategies.
We mentioned so much about team fights and little things that went the way of EG instead of T1, but the fact is they had a 6K lead and they went for the Roche, got forced out because Tide managed to respawn, and then they just took it for free as EG because T1 had used all their ultimates on the first team fight, and handing an Aegis to a hero like Troll against Doom, I think that allowed Arteezy to like get the farm he needed to get back in the game and actually dish out enough damage and also like feel comfortable on the map. So like even that play alone, I think if you remove that, they probably would have won that game. Which, you know, it seems easy to say that in Dota. There's a lot of things that happen like that, but I really do think T1 was one or two things going their way from winning that game.
Alrighty, well, we've got ourselves a game to
10
draft as
seconds
we
remaining.
slowly try and figure out what is the TI meta. We've mentioned some of the big heroes at
5
various
seconds
times, the
remaining.
Weavers, the Monkeys, the Tiny, which is still in the pool, but, you know, this is still early days. There's still a lot to be discovered when it comes to the TI
T1's
meta.
turn to
I was going to say EG first picked Tiny in their series earlier, so I don't
Yep.
think they're going to stray away from that now. Arteezy
T1's
legit has
turn
played this
to
probably
EG.
30 times at this patch in his pubs. I actually studied him in order to learn it. He loves his split pushers, and Tiny isn't the traditional split pusher, but if you leave him alone on a tower for like 4 seconds, it's dead. You know, like if you're trying to group up
10
and siege high
seconds
ground,
remaining.
and there's just a Tiny hitting your tier 3, he's gonna kill it faster than your
Evil
entire team
geniuses
trying to
turn
siege.
to battle.
So they actually respond to this with a tree. I don't know if that's the intent of stopping the tower push aspect or setting up on Tiny in the side lane. So the way that Arteezy plays it is that he clears creep waves, and a lot of flash farming hard carries will go from creep wave to creep camp, you know, back and forth, looking to
10
accelerate the
seconds
GPM.
remaining.
But because Tiny has so much kill threat, and he also doesn't want to get initiated
5
onto
seconds
because of how much
remaining.
kill threat he has if he jumps you, he plays a lot in the trees on the side of the lanes. And I think Tree is probably the best hero in the game to catch this in order to set it up, right? And then IO to follow you up with whatever carry you have. So T1's approach to this is like directly addressing, they're assuming that this is an Arteezy Tiny. And I think it's a really cool, like I liked their conceptual
T1's
approach to the
turn
IO
to
last
ban.
game with the Snapfire ET. And they've got I really, they had a clear plan, honestly. I like it a lot.
Something as far as T1 goes that we're seeing again, which I'm curious to hear your thoughts, is they're picking their support to it. First two. They did it last game, they're doing it again here. And it feels like EG has a
10
very different
seconds
idea where they're
remaining.
generally picking at least one of their cores in the first stage.
It might be 2 cores here. Probably
5
is 2
seconds
cores
remaining.
for EG. That's in the past. I've heard captains talk about 2 supports early, even though in pubs you often get your 2 supports at the start of the draft. It can be really
geniuses
dangerous because a
turn
lot
to
of core
battle.
heroes, they feel really good if you see both supports because you know, like right now, for instance, if you're a carry, that if you buy Manta on
T1's
EG,
turn to
you'll
ban.
feel good. Yes, they've already got Tiny. I'm just giving an example because like neither IO or Tree does anything to a Manta carrier, and most of the Manta carriers can find the IO, so something like the Spectre, right? So it can be dangerous, but I think if they've picked their carry, it doesn't
Evil
matter as much
geniuses turn to ban.
because the carry role punishes the support picks first, I think, the most. It is interesting, though. Both
Turn to
healing
ban.
defensive supports, but yet they have a lot of map presence, which is odd when you think about it that way.
I'm curious to see where T1 head with this.
I think Gyro.
It has been the go-to other than last game with EG. But yes, there's been
10 seconds
at least like
remaining.
4, maybe 5 IO gyros so far in
It's
various
just good
games.
against Lycan,
5
too. You got the
seconds remaining.
flat cannon for the Zoo. It's not terrible against Tiny. The Tiny combo, you know, he combos you down to like 20%. You Satanic back up.
Something I really like that Fnatic did, and T1 have done multiple times, is Night Stalker, but into the Lycan, the Shard, being able to eat the Ancient creep. It's kind of cool.
Oh, yeah. The Sven would probably be good, too, for T1. They definitely need an AoE carry, right? And they've elected to ban the Troll Medusa as the 2 that they think are the most troublesome.
Yep.
And Razor is probably more of a mid-hero they're concerned about, but it definitely removes Tiny from the game if he gets that static link off on you.
Well, T1 thinking things through heavily now on their 5th ban. They're going in deep into that reserve time. Probably also thinking about what their picks might be. And so they're going to be going right into it. So they ban out the AA. Double healing supports obviously makes a lot of
saying
sense.
Gyro. That says Gyro so hard.
Yep.
Evil geniuses turn to pick.
Axe.
Oh.
I don't think Axe is very good against Tiny for like on paper. I haven't actually played the matchup though, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt here.
Is it Is it still the carry axe we see these days? It was
No.
all the rage
It's,
for a while.
it's definitely off lane. That
10
stuff's dead.
remaining.
I don't think you can run that anymore with the Manta Shard build being
5
not
seconds
what it is
remaining.
anymore. The Shard is now, I think, every time you counter Helix, you cause damage reduction. I think that's like you make the person do
Yes.
less damage. I believe that's what it is.
Geniuses
Let me just
turn
confirm
to
this.
Witch Doctor.
It applies a stacking debuff for 6 seconds of minus 20% attack damage.
Okay.
So I imagine
So
it
it
stacks probably 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then it said it also increases your chance after. it's
Yeah, it
done
increases
created.
your
10
chance for counter
seconds
Helix.
remaining.
But
But
yes.
the old one, for people who weren't here throughout the year, made it so you attacked
5 seconds
your
remaining.
attacks countered or procced counter Helix. So people would be going Manta Shard. Your illusions would also proc it, and you could pretty much kill people full to 0.
Seeing Axe being like one of the best hard carries in the game, and it was one of those things where I would see and be like, oh, they're looking to maybe play fast and early, but no, the hero would actually scale like 50, 60 minutes. as
Yeah,
well.
it was pure. The thing is, spin is now pure damage. So there was no counter to it if you were like a Terrorblade, for instance, with high armor. And Witch Doctor, really nice against all of these lane cutters. Anybody who relies on backlining cutting the waves and then barely escaping because they have like that
10
extra tankiness
seconds
from a
remaining.
Vanguard. He just makes it so scary. You get that Maledict on you with a
5
rotation from
seconds
either your
remaining.
4 or your mid. And Tiny is a carry that's great at helping hunt these type of heroes. And that's why I was a bit concerned about the Axe. I like picking Axe when the opponent carry isn't going to go mess with you. You know, you're going to go cut the creeps, and you're expecting them to just be content getting their farm underneath their tower. Something like a PA or like a Slark who doesn't want to go on you because they'll take more damage from the spin than they actually dish out. But in this case, Tiny, like most of his damage is pretty far range. The tree gives you 350 attack range. I don't think you're within range of spin when you do that.
Geniuses
So
turn to
I'm a little nervous for them here with this Axe pick. Axe is a feast or famine offlaner.
Yeah.
He forces you to attack him. So if he's behind, you just kind of die.
Yeah.
But there's the gyro.
It felt like they're trying to do maybe a bit of what EG did to them, where it's like, okay, this IO plus
10
tanky
seconds
pesky
remaining.
offlaner, let's like try and really bully the lane. But that's where EG I
5
think that
seconds
plays into
remaining.
EG's strength. They're like, okay, you want to pick a strong lane, we'll pick a strong lane too. We're gonna get Witch Doctor. Like EG know how to play these strong laning stage games, but we'll see if T1 can execute it, because that is potentially going to be a make or break kind of part of this game, is how that laning stage goes for this Axe.
I am super skeptical of the Axe, and I love being wrong because that means I learned something. We don't highlight the
Turn
fact
to
that I'm
ban.
wrong. We highlight the fact that I learned something. That's the important part. But the Axe itself, I just think Tiny will, like, yes, Tiny has 0 base armor, so he can kind of get prone to be ran at, but Witch Doctor is one of the best, like, don't run at my carry supports. You can either go for the Voodoo Restoration or just the Maledict cast
10
combo.
seconds
And then
remaining.
Tiny actually protects his 5 really well compared to other
5 seconds remaining.
other carries. So Axe usually feasts on the 5 by battle hungering them, and it doesn't seem like he's going to have that option in this game. But maybe with the IO sustain, he'll be able to rush a Vanguard with like very few items, which will allow him to get to that threshold of not actually being threatened. I want to see EG pick like a Leshrac. What else comes to mind? Like a Pugna, just a hero that once they get 6 rotates to the Axe's lane and just kills them like
Okay.
very easily. You know, very low investment.
So like heavy magic damage is what I'm kind of hearing between
Yeah.
those heroes.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking for them. They have decent lockdown,
Geniuses
but they
turn to
probably need a
ban.
playmaker. They actually banned the morph, so they really think this is a mid Tiny. I see no reason for EG to rotate this Tiny, unless I really don't understand this Axe Tiny matchup. That on paper seems okay.
Maybe it is okay, but just, morphling into
10
Gyra and
seconds
morphling
remaining.
into Axe, I feel like that was one of the heroes that had more success against
5 seconds
Axe
remaining.
playing the offlane just always.
It's good for its own game, but it's not good at shutting down the Axe's game, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. The Axe would be able to cut creeps
true.
against the morph. But yes, the against the gyro is a good point. I think that's just too much. The fly cannon with morph is terrifying.
Yeah. I feel like all these IO Gyro games, it's like, all right, we got the IO Gyro now, just ban morph. It's like you're just following your checklist, regardless of what they have.
I like the Kunkka ban from EG. Definitely seeing Carl play that. It's just nice against Lycan to have another convenient way to clear the summons.
Yeah.
T1.
EG is going to pick first here. I guess Doom can target Ancients when he gets the level 15 talent, similar to Night Stalker Shard. I think they're pretty much gearing up 100% for something that's going to counter the Lycan, which T1 has been doing the Night Stalker, but that would mean that the Axe is mid or something, which I don't think they'll do.
Yeah, it doesn't sound too great. The puck from game 1's still in the pool, but
Invoker would have been great. Very annoying for Axe. The Cold Snap plus Earn, Quaswex.
Yep.
Great hero for rotating on the Axe when he's
10
cutting.
seconds
They
remaining.
need that hero, 100%. Yep. I want to see this hero and be like, that guy's going to rotate and kill Axe.
5 seconds
6
remaining.
minutes into the game.
one hero we haven't talked about, Mirana. Crit playing the Mirana. You happy to see that?
There it is. That makes so much sense to me, the Ember Spirit, out of all the heroes, because out of every hero that rotates and kills Axe, Chain's Arrow, baby. That's like, that's as a tale as old as time, that one. That's a classic. When they picked the Mirana, they actually didn't have very good setup. So this explains a lot. They had something. They had this in mind, clearly. I think they might have been planning this the entire time, with based on the fact that they had no setup.
Well, now Carl gets 5 seconds. They have no reserve time at all to figure out what he wants to play mid against the Ember, and it's going to be the Bat Rider, a last pick Bat too.
Wow.
Should be going mid, and that could be a tough matchup for Abed, I feel.
This is going to be an insanely snowbally game, because
one way or the other. No.
Yes, one way or the other. The thing about Ember and Bat is they're both heroes that if their hero can sit on top of creeps, Bat with Firefly on, Ember with Flame Guard on, and like push the wave and then go invade after that, they just like take over the entire map, right? Bat especially once he gets Boots of Travel. Ember usually when he gets like Orb of Corrosion plus Maelstrom or some damage item that pushes him over the edge. And whichever hero is able to do that is going to take over the game. The thing about Bat that's interesting is all of his individual matchups here are really good. But if he gets like maledicted or just runs into like 4 creeps and gets chained, he's going to die. So he needs to have like Boots of Travel BKB to be the potent threat that he needs to be. But if he gets to that point where he's allowed to Firefly into somebody and just like nobody has a way to remove Sticky Napalm, which is the way that Bat Rider does all of his damage. And he will be dishing out metric tons of damage. So that's plenty of space for T1 or 23 Savage on T1. That hero farms insanely fast. Gyro's one of the fastest farmers in the game. If they get to that point where Bat Rider can freely roam, I can't really see what EG can do about it. But then on the other side, the Ember Spirit threatens the same thing with Tiny farming on the backside. So the carries are going to be at the hands of their mid laners.
It sounds like you're pretty happy with both teams' drafts and how they rounded things out.
Yes, both teams got the necessary tools. I'm mainly concerned about Cuckoo, honestly. I think Axe could really struggle. I wonder if they're going to do something fancy to enable him in the first minute or two just to get off to the start that he needs.
Yeah, and that's really one of those like TI meta questions. Like, it's like, is Axe viable right now? Like, can you play this hero? It's just something that hasn't really popped up, hasn't felt that good. I've, been following all of the pro player pubs, and I have not seen much Axe, so time to find out.
I'm telling you, Witch Doctor is like the most griefing 5 for a hero like Axe. Like, as Axe, if I play against Witch Doctor, it just sucks, man. Like, if I've seen somebody already pick Axe and I haven't picked 5 yet, the Witch Doctor, you just love it, because you're like, my job in this game is for him to call somebody, and I'm just going to maledict him, and he's going to feel really bad, even if he survives the initial onslaught of damage, because he will tick down to it.
30 seconds to battle.
What's the WTF?
I'm curious, too. What's that about? Good luck. Oh, Hopping. I think he's...
I guess that's some slang or something.
I think... well, there's another SEA Dota player called Hopping. Maybe
really?
Maybe that's what it's about. I don't know. He's not here at TI, but there is a Filipino player called Hopping.
Ah, I see.
But not entirely sure. It looks like T1, they sent 4 heroes top. It feels like they're trying to maybe get the right lanes or something, but now it does look like Axe is headed towards bottom.
They're going standard.
Is Arteezy denying a bounty rune? Oh, sorry, Ice. He's playing the Lycan, not Arteezy. Cheeky little play as EG get 2 out of the 3 picked up bounty runes.
I believe T1 is bracing themselves for this bottom lane as I look at Cuckoo's items as well as Zephyr's.
This is me. Every time I watch ISSI stream, he plays offline, he just goes Bracer first item. It's like, regardless of hero. He wasn't even playing a strength hero to buy Bracer. I was surprised last game on Tide, I was like, okay, where's the Bracer, ISSI? But,
Yeah, it's interesting because he had the IO that game too, you know?
Yeah.
So you think if they're going for the sustain lane, their idea was headdress with him going damage items on Tide, while T1's got a similar duo, and their idea was double burst.
We'll see how this lane unravels as Fly going for the level 1 Voodoo Restoration, triple Mango Clarity, so they're going to have all kinds of... It's sustain against sustain, and we saw last game how good the Eye can be. Top lane, Ice just gets poked down. First Blood goes the way of 23 Savage.
He did miss a few creeps under tower, but Whiteman's actually going to do a great job here of dragging the creeps back outside of tower such that the lane is not going to push.
Nice.
There is a creep drag behind tower by Crit, though. So a little bit of shenanigans going on from both sides.
Yeah.
A little lane creep equilibrium manipulation.
And those denies they're not getting back here as bottom lane Arteezy goes in with the cask on a Cuckoo. The tether sustain, he salves himself and then loses it. So a lost salve there from Zephyr. As Cuckoo just going to try to tango himself back up. A big wave pushing in towards him though.
This is one of the best ways to deter aggression in the early game. By intentionally shoving the lane into their tier 1 like this. It's going to set up the pull of the small camp by Fly, and it allows Arteezy to be by himself because for the majority of the time that he was alone, the offlane duo were both level 1, but now that they're both level 2, he's going to back off a little bit. Lane's going to be reset, and IO acts, like we were talking about how aggressive this lane sounds like it wants to be, and they're just not going to be able to do that super early because of the fact that EG shoved the lane so hard.
Interesting crit. A lot of roaming from his Mirana, poking around the mid lane, maybe looking for some couriers, looking for an arrow with the Searing Chain set up, or just to deny some water runes. So very active from him early on, feeling like Ice can just do fine on his own on the offlane Lycan.
Yeah, as long as the lane's near Ice's tower or even remotely close. The thing about Lycan as an offlaner is he doesn't help the 4. You know, what does he do to make you more powerful? And usually if that's like a question you can ask yourself and the answer is just nothing, then the 4 position can just leave.
Oh, he's going in. He's got a 3rd courier. He got 1 earlier on. He's going to get 2 down bottom.
That's a lot of gold. That's 300 gold between the 2 couriers for his entire team across the board. So
yeah.
that is not to be underestimated.
I mean, yeah, especially this early on. That's looking at a couple of creeps per player. Nice little find for him. Abed, the Flame Grate should be okay here. As Carl just, doesn't want to play too aggressive when Crit's been missing from the map so often. You get hit by an arrow onto a tower or something, and suddenly things can quickly turn around on you.
Oh, I didn't even notice the skill build from Abed. 2-2-0 with the arrow set up on mid lane, narrowly dodging it. That would have been a disaster.
Mentioned how this could be a bit of a tough one for the Axe. He's done fine so far in terms of last hits. He's getting pressured a bit by the damage output of the Tiny. No points in the Maledict to worry about, though.
But the benefit of the IO is that he didn't have to buy himself a bunch of regen, which means he was able to rush the Ring of Health. And thus, if he can get to that Vanguard without dying, his game will be smooth sailing, at least for the time until he gets his blink. But salve used.
Yep. I mean, that seems that's good for them. I mean, if you're burning through Arteezy's mana pool, suddenly that kill threat goes away.
Yeah, he doesn't have any stick charges, so that is one of the last times he'll be able to use that avalanche.
It's like T1 finally getting a bit fed up with Crit's shenanigans, trying to keep tabs of him a bit more. Tree and Protector rotating in to say enough is enough.
So he is going for the stats build on 23 Savage.
Mid lane, I believe that was the Searing Chain's arrow.
He was underneath his own tower, though. A lot of extra armor.
Has the Bottle Fairy Fire, so yeah, he seems to be in too much danger, but they are still playing around this one, and Crit Bottle charges between the right clicks. He's going to turn around and get the kill on the Mirana. Is there a Sleight of Fist? Ooh, just out of range. That was close.
That is deja vu. We saw that in one of our games earlier.
Yeah.
It was nothing to say diving Quinn and going for the Sleight of Fist, and it misses by like an inch. Meanwhile, Ice does drop top.
Yeah.
He's going for the stats build on Gyro, though. It was quite a hot build last patch that fell out of favor, and then they nerfed Flat Cannon to be more mana at higher levels. So people felt like most games, unless they have the IO with the Gyro in lane, that they didn't have enough mana to cast Flak and Rocket Barrage now. So people are going back to the stat build. The idea is that you're playing like a Dusa for the first 20 minutes of the game, and eventually you'll be a Gyrocopter. But that's what people have been doing, and it makes sense against Lycan. His sole job as a Gyro this game is to allow his bat and axe to be aggressive and defend his tower against the Lycan as long as possible.
6-mate rune coming up. Both sides want it. Crit trying to secure it top. It spawns elsewhere, and he's going to look to leap away.
He's only got one leap
charge.
left.
Yeah, getting slowed down here, but does get some help. A Lycan Wolf coming on over. Imagine it was thinking, okay, I got some backup, got some body blocks if you need it. But it was a DD rune, I believe, that spawned bottom.
23 Savage is the one living the dream, though. 38 CS, absolute free farm. Lycan's not looking to pressure him anytime soon, so he can just... honestly, the tree can just spend all of his time stacking. Whitemon just gonna play for the efficiency game.
17 denies. So TZ keeping up in terms of the CS, 34 on the Tiny, so still having pretty... Both sides carries having a good game, but that really speaks to how tough this game has been for Ice's Lycan. And it doesn't feel like the decision that roam around in this Mirana has really paid off for EG. He did get those couriers, but outside of that, hasn't found those kills with the Searing Chains.
Yeah, the awkwardness is there wasn't much to do top for Crit, so he kind of had to go all in on getting something done mid, and like you said, that just hasn't happened. That narrow escape by Carl may not seem like much, because all they lost was a Mirana, but he's been dedicating pretty much all of his resources in terms of lane impact to this mid lane.
Yep.
So the fact that, like, what we're seeing that death cause is the net worth disparity between Arteezy and 23 Savage, because 23 Savage is not spending any resources combating heroes, which means all of his mana, all of his itemization is geared towards accelerating his farm. He's spending flat cannons to farm, he's buying items that make his flat cannon do more damage, and we're going to see the first lasso come out.
Yep. Just the support kill, but
That's
happy
fine
to
with me.
throw it out. Yep. Not killing an Ember when he's got those Remnant charges, so...
You don't feel the need to kill Ember because he has gone for the Sleight of Fist Chains build. You can play for the efficiency game on the Batrider because you will farm faster than him if you're not killing each other.
Okay.
Which he's going to do, he's going to stack it up, going to get an Invis rune, probably just going to use it for mana. 23 Savage. Going for the Crystallis, the casual Crystallis, but for the Axe. Feels pretty good. 35 damage for... Like, if you're ignoring the crit, because the crit doesn't apply to your flat cannon, for 1,900 gold. It's honestly very cost-effective.
See how long he can stick around this top lane, as it does look like EG are considering a bit of a movement towards it. 3 heroes headed on up there. They're going to find Whitemon instead.
Crit's not on point this game.
Yeah.
He needs to spam more of that really cool keep a PMA line, I think, that he's got. Seems to be a little bit flustered with his arrow casting.
Yeah, correlates arrow accuracy.
Yeah, it makes precision go up.
Not a hero he's particularly well known for, the Mirana. Like, think of like the NADPC, there was a lot of Quincy crew, MSS loved to play the Mirana, but not a hero that we saw crit on all that often.
Yeah, Moonmeander also likes Mirana a lot
yes.
as well. But crit's more of the Tusks, the Earth Spirits.
Yep.
On the other hand, this is like right up T1's alley of support. It's like the way they play the map and the idea of like babysitting the map for their cores. You know, just we're gonna protect towers. We're going to play our own game, farm up our own items. You see Carl jungling, and you see 23 Savage jungling while the supports defend their towers. This is par for the course for T1.
Yeah, they love giving Cuckoo these good games. So he's such a high impact player. I mean, he's a mid laner who switched to the off laner, and if he can have a good game, I feel like a lot of T1 success is kind of tied to him. Even though the overall big game plan is to, let 23 Savage farm and play for the late game.
They are splitting Ancients, though. Normally 23 Savage would want these Ancients, but Batrider nowadays can farm Ancients. He is going to spend his time sticking those things up. Yep. Should have to get 10 holes charges before he can Firefly, because his Firefly is only level 1.
And even though he didn't die mid, he did get pushed out of the lane. He's a full level behind Abed, who is, level 8 and a half, so he needs this farm as well as XP, it feels like. Even though the Ember doesn't have the farming build, is doing well here as T1 look to mount a defense at this top tower.
I love this rotation by Kuku.
Yep, he TPs on up, they take out Fly, they get him with the dunk. But Whitemon will pay the price for this one. Cuckoo very tanky with his Vanguard. Can he find more? Maybe wants the Helm of the Dominator creep. Another missile will chase down Ice.
Has been killed.
But I believe everybody has scurried away too far for T1 to really chase down anyone else.
So Carl's got his Boots of Travel now, which is so important for his map presence. It allows him to get crucial kills on cores without ruining his own farming game, because he can TP to fights, but he doesn't have to TP to this.
Have they got the damage for this one? No.
Cuckoo, though.
Ooh!
Oh, even pump faked it, too.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Okay. So Abed had to use 2 of his Remnant charges to get away from that. Is going to get a bottle refill, though, by Fly. Arteezy doing a lot of damage to tower bottom, but Carl is going to be able to rotate to this. Still has Firefly available. And they have Tree and Protector to heal these up as long as they don't lose them. But they have so much tower damage between the Lycan and the Tiny. I can't imagine he can out-sustain all of this damage across all the lanes.
Similar to game 1, we're seeing two teams not looking to, like,
Radiant
you know,
structures are
put their
fortified.
foot on the gas and, like, you know, charge at objectives or charge at the other teams. They're playing this more slower, methodical, farm-oriented game.
Yeah, it's interesting. Whenever I say Gyro played like this, I imagine like 90% of the map farm that's safe is geared towards giving it to him. But the fact that Carl has been being greedy to get his Boots of Travel, which is standard on Batrider, it's not like he's misplaying, is causing it so that 23 Savage is second in net worth to Tiny, despite having pretty much a free lane.
This is cool. Ice. You see there the Wolves blocking the Ancient stack, blocking both camps. We saw this Singapore Major. I mean, he's seen it a lot with him when he played a lot of Nature's Prophet, and he would always do this with his treants. He micros them to block the enemy Ancients, or at least block them from being stacked. That is a lot of gold being denied from T1.
That's super annoying. You don't want to be like, supports can't deal with that, right?
Yeah.
Like, they won't kill the wolf in time, so you'd have to be a core preventing that from happening, which is just not going to happen. If I'm a core and you're telling me I have to go protect my own Ancients by killing some wolves that give me 20 gold, I'm going to tell you to screw off.
Yeah.
Even though it's for my own good.
And that clearly is the game plan, is to just play this slow game where we're farming, playing the efficiency, farming our triangles. So it is heavily paying off to deny your enemy's gold while securing your own goal. That is a great way to play this game.
I'm not sure who outcarries who between Tiny and Gyro if they both get a lot of farm.
Here come the Wolves again. They're going to be a little bit late this time, but you can see the idea was there once again. Even not blocking the camps, it's giving them good intel, because this time around EG are going for a smoke play. They want to get aggressive. And they see...
This is the 5-head play.
T1.
Don't block so that you smoke into them farming it.
Yep. I believe T1 are reading this movement, though. EG themselves, they didn't block it because they get to farm it. Arteezy. Haven't seen too much from him. All right, there we go. Crit's getting back on it.
He's going to land his next arrow, guaranteed. I'm going to keep track of it for you guys. Don't worry, I promise you. If it doesn't work, it's because he didn't apply the promo code correctly.
Okay, they're going to throw out the overgrowth. Should be a lasso to follow this one up. Have they got the damage for it? No, they don't need the lasso.
Nice,
Well,
that's really nice.
Well played by T1. Chaining it perfectly. Oh, they found the relocate. The Wolves were there. Arrow catches them. Didn't need the setup.
Like I said, guaranteed to land. So, consolation prize for EG.
Yep.
At the same time, though, somehow they're up by 2K. I guess it's just the map efficiency that they're going for, like by stealing the Ancients and getting the Ancients. Clearly, that adds up a lot.
And we saw it the one time. I don't know if may have happened several times. I feel like we never really saw that stack other than the one time the Batrider farmed a triple stack.
Radiant's middle tower is under
So
attack.
T1 is farming on a lot of heroes. Cuckoo's getting his Blink Dagger. Carl's going for his BKB.
Dire's
And,
structures
you know,
are
Gyro's Gyrocopter. He's going for the Ags, but he's going to be farming for a little while. And suddenly we've got a Tiny with Shadowblade. And just to do some quick math, the Shadowblade gives you 175 damage. Hits for 240. So that means if he hits you twice, that is like 640 damage. Plus the Avalanche Toss combo. You know, let's just assume that's exactly 680 damage.
Dire's top
Okay.
tower
That was
is
just
under
a
Bye.
random number. That's a lot of damage is what I'm getting at here.
That's some NA, man.
And A lot of heroes on T1, if alone, will die to that. Honestly, all the course, I think RTZ plus even just like a sleight of fist would be good enough to finish them all off. So now they're going to have to play like the buddy system while they're all trying to get items, which is going to make things a bit awkward. And if they bleed 1 or 2 more kills, it's going to bleed into more and more kills the way heroes like Tiny work.
Feels like one of the issues that we're seeing for T1 is there's just not enough farm to go around. Like,
Yeah.
Barrow's like, I kind of want to farm this triangle, then Gyro's like, no, I get priority. So instead, they're going to go for some kills. They find another opening to go an Ice up top, and he gets taken out. Yeah, there's not enough farm to go around, so at some point you have to make other plays, and they're going to find a kill there.
I don't think EG cares about that. Like, what would Ice be doing otherwise? He was pushing top lane. That's pretty much his job in the game, and he's just going to respawn and push top again. So what this is doing is T1 is buying more time to farm. So EG doesn't care about that, but T1 is very happy to have that extra minute of space that they get from that.
Fly getting some nice deep wards down with the help of the Moonlight Shadow. Tucking himself in. Does not have a TP to get out, so we'll see. Looks like he's going to be able to scurry himself out of there undetected as EG, continue to maintain this gold lead. It does feel like T1 don't have that hero that can safely push out these lanes. Like, every time I see their close farming, it's like, okay, they're in the jungle. No one seems to be able to do what we saw last game from, like, the Snapfire, where it's like, okay, I'm gonna just go and double nuke a wave, and we're good.
Yeah, we're seeing how Arteezy's playing, right? Most of the time when he's not hitting lane creeps, he's just sitting invis and Shadowblade, hoping to catch somebody out of position. And you have to imagine from T1's perspective. You know, if Carl's considering showing himself on a creep wave, what if there's an invisible Tiny there? It makes you second guess every little thing you're doing on the map, and you'll hesitate to farm creep waves that you would otherwise feel safe to farm, and that will naturally eke out just a little bit of net worth lead over time for EG, but it has stagnated. 23 Savage is farming quite fast. He's got the Ags now, feeling pretty tanky with the stats build. Got like that extra 200 HP or so.
Yep.
So I have that burst. Cuckoo not really feeling like he can do anything maybe, or doesn't have to do anything with his Blink Dagger because he's got it now, but he's kind of just still doing the same thing. They got the kill on Ice. But since then, he's been chilling.
This Fly Vision game, he's just got sentries littered around this dire jungle. He's got the Observer Ward. He de-wards there with the help of his Courier. May pay the price for it, but similar to the Ice kills, he is probably not really going to cost EG a whole lot by going down here.
He aggroed the jungle camp in order to have the creeps hit him so that he would spin more. That was really cool. He like went out of his way to stop attacking Fly to draw out the aggro of the creeps.
Also, they killed the Io, so EG getting a support of their own and
a tower.
Yeah, they are finding all the good trades on this map, it feels like. Up to a 3k gold lead. They're down on kills, but not the number that's particularly important right now.
I really think the difference here is that both teams need to push waves, and the fear is like the threat of the kill threat of both teams. Like you have the lasso plus axe call, like pretty scary, and then you have the Tiny off map with the Mirana, both very scary. But Lycan can push waves safely with his summons, and Tiny is incredibly tanky. You're gonna have to dedicate like 3 or 4 heroes minimum to killing him, and EG just kills towers really fast. Like if they ever get to the tower itself, despite the tree armor, Lycan Tiny, that is about it. The most tower damage you can have. We talked about last game having virtually none. And now that just has netted a 3-for-0 tower lead for EG, despite T1 having the Treant Protector, who's usually meant to keep those tier 1s alive.
I think T1 getting a bit fed up of losing this economy battle. They got to be feeling frustrated having their camps blocked, these wolves just constantly scouting them out, preventing them making plays, blocking their camps. And they try and make a move bottom, it just doesn't connect, and while that's happening, EG's just walked their way into the Roshan pit now.
It's honestly pretty genius by EG that they are just playing for the objective pressure, because the thing about T1's draft that I'm seeing is lacking is that they don't have objective threat until Gyro gets a bunch of items. Until Gyro's hitting really hard, they can't take Roche efficiently, they can't take towers safely, and every time EG forces a rotation from T1, you saw them take mid tower earlier. Now you see them taking Roche. Both teams are farming about the same amount, I think, but there's just objectives for EG. That's pretty much their entire net worth lead, and there's no easy way for T1 to get objectives, and so every fight they take will be on their own side of the map, which means they're kind of having to fight their way out of this containment that EG has, And if you're always on your own side of the map taking fights, that just never leads to objectives of your own.
Yeah. Yet to take a single tower at 20+ minutes in, despite, you know, having some kills, having some top net worth on a gyrocopter, they just aren't able to put together that move or that play that will open up the game. Now they've got to deal with an Aegis on Ortizi's Tiny. He's really the big threat, the big carry of this game, at least for now, it feels like.
They have a timing, though. Batrider BKB coming, Satanic on Gyro coming, and Axe BKB a little bit slower than those other 2 timings, but they're coming. So that's, I mean, it's just a matter of T1, how much time do they need to buy?
No.
What are they waiting for? How many of these big items do they think they need in order to make the play to change the status quo of the map right now?
That one gets slightly scattered out, but Crit doesn't have any good way of catching him. No Yule Scepter or anything. Has got the Spirit Vessel, so that's going to make life that little bit trickier for these healing supports of T1.
They don't want to bleed. The T1 has said they've had enough of towers that they've given up.
Yeah.
Even 23 Savage inconveniencing his farming in order to defend this, as he does have the Satanic. He is the strongest core on his team to defend towers at this point. Axe doesn't feel comfortable getting initiated onto. The whole point of that hero is to go on them. And Batrider, without a BKB, I think he just dies to a single Searing Chains. I think that will be full to 0 for him if they have the arrow follow-up. But he's got the BKB now. Going for the Shard. Philosopher's Stone on Bat feels pretty good.
Oh,
You're pretty much never attacking.
Poor supports. They're like, yes, Philosopher's Stone. Oh, okay. Never mind.
You can have my hand-me-downs
Yeah,
when the tier 3s come out, says Carl.
Yeah. I mean, he's not had the easiest game just because there's not been much farm on the map for him. As Arrow finds the Axe here, but no follow-up. Cuckoo will be able to walk himself out of there.
See, he realizes that he already cashed in on the previous one. He's landed 3 arrows since, that he now has to refresh the arrow accuracy count.
3 charges, just like the
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Crit, for showing people the way. As Grove Bow on Gyro, that's a nice item.
Very nice. Yep.
Let's see, what does Tiny have? I believe he always chooses
has a
Fey
Fey
Grenade. Yeah, he
Grenade,
always chooses move speed items on Tiny because the hero lacks mobility. Holy Locket on Witch Doctor. He's got the Yules plus Maelstrom on Ember. Just a little bit of item catch up here.
This is feeling like the more classic EG game. Like we're gonna just farm you out. We don't care about kills. We'll poke at objectives, force a rotation. It's the starvation Dota. But here come T1. They're fed up. They get a Blink Call initiation onto Crit's Mirana. And EG, the second they see a 4 or 5-man smoke getting towards them, they'll sacrifice one and go farm elsewhere on the map. They're happy to give up 1 kill as long as it doesn't lead to an objective, as long as they continue farming.
The way EG's lineups always work is so fascinating because their heroes individually always function better than the opponent. And T1 knows this, so they're trying to force these 5-on-5s. But now T1's separated.
That's a relocate back in. Jump in from Abed, finds the eye on the backlines here as Cuckoo does get helped out by the Living Armor. The flak just spreading on out here. Have they got the damage? I don't believe they do. Toss coming up, the Gyrocopter in some trouble here. He's been left alone. Can he heal himself back up? He needs the IO support as well. He is healing. He's doing a good job here, but it's just not quite enough. The damage isn't there. Even with the tether, he's keeping himself alive, but his teammates are just falling one by one as Ortizi gets an ultra kill. Can he get the Rampage? He need to cancel a TP. He won't get the chance to do so. He gets denied the Rampage, but EG convincingly win that fight.
I didn't see if Crit landed an arrow, but clearly he did because he's refreshing just in case. He might have landed 3 arrows worth of a 1 arrow, but I don't know if you can give EG Tiny.
Yeah.
This hero is a skirmish hero. You pretty much never want to take direct 5-on-5s where both teams have 5 heroes to start the fight. That was such a cool move by them because what they did was they knew T1 had to make a move. T1 made the move. They found somebody on EG. EG just ditched them. Like, they just said, hey, Crit, you're dead. See you later. And then T1's not just going to sit there holding each other's hands, so they separate, and EG immediately punishes that.
Yeah, and they run at them so fast. You've got this Aghanims on the Lycan now, so the Wolf Bite onto the Tiny can just be so powerful here. As T1 getting very low, that Ember chip and harasses. You can't run when there's this Ember in the game.
So, only thing I can imagine that's scarier than a Tiny, like, killing you is a Tiny that crits, like, 70% of the time for 200% damage. trying to kill you here, as we see that exact thing
It's,
happening here.
Yeah, you see this wolf running at you, and you're like, wait, why is he stunning me? What's going on?
It does make him melee. We were wondering about that earlier.
Okay.
So Tiny, even with Tree, you don't see him holding it, but he still has all the bonuses of Tree, but he is the melee range.
Yep.
So it's not as broken as it theoretically could be, but the fact that Tiny hits for 360 and then you're making him crit almost every hit is
And you've got that
terrifying.
movement speed, so you kind of make up for the lost attack range.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of Tiny just go for this Moon Shard. And Gyro and Tiny nowadays kind of carry in the same way in regards to eventually their be-all, end-all is to stand still hitting buildings and dare you to go on them. And just say, we're going to dump out so much damage when you go on me that if you don't go on me now, you're going to lose all your buildings. And Tiny seems to hit that threshold like 10 minutes earlier with like 5,000 gold less than Gyro needs, which seems to be the problem with the hero and what makes him first pickable for EG in the draft.
Yeah, EG flipped on today. They are having a fantastic day of Dota.
Does it
Flawless.
feel like T1 has messed up? I don't feel like they've messed up.
It feels like a very strategic defeat so far. It's not over yet. They're looking to mount a defense of this tier 2 tower, but the Batrider just gets chased down by the Arteezy Wolf Tiny. They are just getting herded back to their base.
Wait, is he melee or not? I can't tell.
Yeah, he's
That
looking
looked
pretty
pretty
melee.
far.
Triple kill now. This time, can he get the rampage? He gets back to the high ground on the Io. The chase is on. Abed wants to finish him off, but he gets nice, well and truly back to safety there as this is feeling pretty hopeless for T1. They just felt like they couldn't do anything this game. They were up like 8 kills to 4 and just nothing happening, but this one has not felt particularly close.
I think this game's actually over. Gyro's dead for 30 seconds, and
EG think it's over. They're
know,
hitting tier 4s. They're going for throne.
if you weren't aware, Tiny will kill your entire base in 30 seconds.
Yes.
That's cool.
Well, you've got to defend your Ancient, and
They
T1
are not going to.
cannot. GG is called, and EG secure themselves their second 2-0 of the day. They've still got one more series to play, so it's good to play 3 series on the day where you're playing your best Dota. As for T1, I'm not sure if they have another series today to play. I know EG had 6 games, but they're going to at some point need to just reset because they're playing decent Dota, especially game 1, but it feels like maybe strategically these other teams have figured something out that they haven't.
Yeah, coming into this game, I liked the approach of both sides, and I didn't see any clear screw-ups from T1, and that just tells me that EG's draft was, strategy was superior in this specific game. I feel like the first game was a lot about who out-executed who, and I feel like EG just didn't mess up, really, and T1 tried to take the openings that they had. They farmed up the items they needed, the BKB, the Satanic. They had the Axe Call, they got the initiation, but EG would give them a Lycan kill, right? Yeah. Top lane. They'd give them a Mirana kill, and then just back off. And T1 was losing consistently on the map and then not getting enough every time they went for a play. And EG, that's just textbook EG.
Yeah, it was just very clean. At no point did it feel like they were under any pressure, but we'll see what you want to do. Well, I mean, last thing I'll ask, Axe, yes, no? Do you want to see more Axe? Do you feel like this?
I mean, not against Tiny. I feel like Tiny kills you before you kill him, even if you call him.
Okay.
It sounds super... if Tiny's not a hero you want to put yourself in front of. You kind of want to kite him around and force him to use BKB or even just a combo defensively,
All right. Well, that does it for this game. We've got another fantastic series up next. Secret versus Beast Coast. Europe versus South America. Secret, I believe, 2-0. They crushed their first series against Team Spirit. Beast Coast, not too sure. We'll by the time we come back, we'll hopefully know. So we'll see you guys then. More Dota 2 coming your way.